And good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition. It's the Pete Sheppard Show. We start a new week. It's Monday, May 13th, live from the Naples Wealth Planning Studio on their Riptide Media Network. Let's get it going. Are you women who want to murder the street? Don't you know which way you want to turn? Just keep moving and put your head up to me. Hope everybody hope all the ladies out there had a wonderful Mother's Day. Hope you had a happy Mother's Day and that you were taken care of properly. Lots to discuss today. The ignorance and arrogance and patheticness of the officials in the NBA is now carried over to the NHL. Absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. Wait till you hear the actual rule and then the explanation. And you know what I'm talking about last night. Monsieur Bennett on the cross-check on Charlie Coyle into Jeremy Swayman. It's just unbelievable. NBA playoff preview and recap from last night as well. NFL news to tell you about today. Also, it is schedule week, so get ready for all the leaks and be very wary of fake leaks that are out there. There are going to be many of them, as well as in the rookie mini camps finished up this weekend as well. Lots of good stuff out of the mini camp. So we're going to recap it all for you. We got a PGA news. I got even some tennis news for you. Some craziness that happened in the Italian Open. Lots to talk about today. Also, we'll have an MLB rundown and a whole lot more. I am Pete Sheppard. I am here from 7 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday right here, live from the Naples Wealth Planning Studio and the Riptide Media Network. Check us out across the complete Riptide Media Network video platform, which means you can follow me on Twitter at pshep326, also on my Facebook page and Broad Street South Facebook and YouTube pages, Spotify, Twitch, Rumble, LinkedIn, and, of course, on Sports Radio 102.9. And with all of this going on, we say good morning to executive producer and host extraordinaire, Angel Martinez. And after everything that happened this weekend between the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs and NFL news and possible schedule leaks and blah, 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 inquiring minds want to know, there's only one question, Angel. Is the woodpecker still, is it alive? And is it still making noises on your roof? Everybody seems to want to know that. That's the big story of the weekend. You risked your life and limb. You climbed on top of your roof with a phony owl, like a scarecrow up on your roof. So update the people on the woodpecker at your house. What happened?
Well, thankfully, I think the woodpecker did the deal because I didn't hear him pecking along. I'll find out today because sometimes he likes to tease me on a Monday. He probably gave the weekend off because he figured I'm going to be my mom, go do the woodpecker thing with mama, and then come back. But thankfully, he has not come back. The good thing is there's no damage, which is even better, that there's zero damage whatsoever. And then the other surprising news over the weekend is I found out that my mother is finally down here full time. She's made the move. Yeah, so that's terrific. And it's great because she lives less than 4 mile stretch from someone that we know down here in Fort Myers, which is absolutely insane.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's great. So again, hopefully everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day and everything else. Until last night, Bruins going to jump out to a 2-0 lead. They eventually lose 3-2. A very controversial loss once again. We have to sit here, whether it's hockey or basketball, and start talking about the officiating again and the rules about what's enforced, what's not enforced. What is a penalty? What is not a penalty? I'm thoroughly confused. I'm sure a lot of you are too. And let's just start. I'm going to start right away with the Bruins and just give you the highlights, and then go through. I'll give you everything that has happened and transpired really in the last 48 hours. Because it really, before I give you these highlights, it starts off, and I got the whole video of it as well. We're going to show you the video of it as well. It started off on Friday night when Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand, when Marchand At first, it looked like it was going to be, just a standard collision. But when Marchand went down and went into the boards, I was like, that sucks. He was slow to get up. And he was woozy getting up, just getting onto the bench. And I'm like, geez, I didn't see his head slam into the boards. I thought Bennett was, I thought they kind of both collided, yada, yada, yada. Lo and behold, Marchand doesn't come out. Nobody knows. It was kind of like a real confusing. It was like one of those. I'm like, did he hit him just right? Did he hit the board just right? Did he do something to his shoulder? I don't know what it was. Then last night, finally on NHL on TNT. Now I don't know with all the Stanley Cup playoffs going on and. How they didn't have the reverse angle Friday night is beyond me. But I'll give TNT credit. They finally got the other angle, which I will show you in just in a couple of minutes here. Clearly, Sam Bennett punches Marchand with the right to his right temple, right to his ear, hard. And that is what did. And you could not see that from all the other angles. It was clear as day that that's what did it. He sucker punched Marchand in the back of the head, in the ear, right at the ear. And he basically got concussed. That's why, or some form of it. That's the reason why he didn't play last night. But we're going to show you the video and get to all of that in a second. So if that wasn't enough, again, the reverse angle, I don't know why we didn't have access to that. I don't get it. Because that would have cleared everything up right away. Seriously, this day and age, why did it take a day and a half to get that angle? And then if that wasn't enough for Bennett, he cross-checks Charlie Coyle last night in the back of the head, in the back, he goes tumbling into Swayman, and then that allowed him to score a goal that tied the game at 2, which the officials held up after there was a review. And I'll just get to it right now. I'm just because I'm so freaking pissed. Before we get to the highlights, I want to just lay it out. And then you're going to hear everybody's explanation. Okay, this is technically the rule. Here is the rule: if a defending player has been pushed, shoved, or fouled by an attacking player so as to cause the defending player to come into contact with his own goalkeeper, such contact shall be deemed contact initiated by the attacking player for purposes of this rule, and if necessary, a penalty assessed to the attacking player, and if a goal is scored, it would be disallowed. Clearly, Bennett cross-checks Coyle into Jeremy Swayman. It's the only reason why he was able to score that goal. The only reason why. So not only should he be assessed a penalty for cross-checking, which was blatantly obvious, the goal should have been disallowed. Now, I got access to exactly what the NHL said to the press. A lot of people don't have this. Here's what I have, right from the horse's mouth. Coaches challenge, Florida at Boston, 3 minutes and 41 of the third period. Challenge initiated by Boston. This is all right from the idiots in Toronto. Because they do the reviewing. Type of challenge: goaltender interference. Results: original call is confirmed. Goal Florida. Explanation. Now get this from what I just said. Here's the explanation by the NHL. Video review supported the referee's call on the ice that the shove by Florida's Sam Bennett on Charlie Coyle and the subsequent contact with Jeremy Swayman, and this is now in bold letters right here, did not prevent Swayman from playing his position in the crease prior to Bennett's goal. So not only is that bullshit, number one, compared to what the rule is, the Bruins get assessed a 2-minute minor for delay a game because they lost the challenge. It was it's just unbelievable. The rule and then the explanation by the league saying that it did not prevent Swayman from playing his position in the crease prior to Bennett's goal. That is horse poo-poo. I mean stinky horse poo-poo. Runny poo-poo. That is awful. Awful, awful, awful. I don't get it. I don't understand. And unlike at least the NBA, when they screw up, they have that 2-minute report that comes out, blah, blah, blah. And the NHL, Angel, the officials are not accountable. They don't have to. There's no pool reporting at the end of the game, unfortunately. But somebody has to explain this to me. And Gary Bettman, man, come out and say something. How can the rule, if a defending player has been pushed, shoved, or fouled by an attacking player, so as to cause a defending player to come into contact with his own goalkeeper, such contact shall be deemed contact initiated by the attacking player for purposes of this rule, and if necessary, a penalty assessed to the attacking player, and if a goal is scored, it would be disallowed. Then the explanation. Video review supported the referee's call on the ice that the shove by Florida's Sam Bennett on Charlie Coyle and the subsequent contact with Jeremy Swayman did not prevent Swayman from playing his position in the crease prior to Bennett's goal. Bruins lose the challenge. They get a 2-minute penalty. And 4 minutes later, the Barkov scores and ends up being the final 3-2. I'll play the highlights in a minute. I mean, just try to absorb that for a second. It just is ridiculous. The rule and these people in Toronto. I mean, are you kidding me? He got cross-checked into the goalie. Of course he interfered in the crease because Bennett cross-checked him into it. And you can say all you want about the Bruins only getting 18 shots and everything else. And I understand that. They're up 2-0. They don't have their best player. I get all that. But they still had the shots that they did have on net were pretty. They had some good chances last night. They did. They didn't play horribly or anything like that. You got to give Florida a lot of credit how they have played most of the series against the Bruins. They have suffocated them. But last night, on the whole, it started early, which I'll play. I mean, the Charlie McAvoy, who really had to step up his game last night and finally did at both ends of the ice. Did a great job setting the tone early, which I'll get to in a second. But why hasn't you talk about a suspension? Why wasn't Sam Bennett should have been suspended for that game, for that punch, a deliberate punch to Brad Marchand's ear? You know, right here, boom. I'm gonna play the video for you and the explanation from the boys on TNT in a second. But I just, for the life of me, I am at a loss. And I'm embarrassed for the NHL, and they should be embarrassed for allowing it. You put the rule up from where it is, what the rule is in the book, right next to the explanation. It's a freaking joke. It's a joke what the NHL tried to do. And they screwed the Bruins last night, and I don't care if anybody says they didn't deserve it anyway, they only had 18 shots on that, but bullshit. They got screwed out of the chance to win that game last night by incompetent officials. And you know what? I blame the people in Toronto first. Well, first I blame the officials on the ice. It's a clear cross-check, number one. Clear cross-check. You can't deny it. But the explanation out of Toronto, good God, what are you watching? What are you watching to come out and say that play did not interfere with Jeremy Swayman and allowed Sam Bennett to score the goal? I'm at a loss. I'm just absolutely livid. I hate when we have to go off on the officials in any sport, and it's not being sour grapes on my part. But this is 2 out of 3. The last 72 hours, Marchand gets punched in the head by this guy. It took a reverse angle from TNT. Why we didn't have that angle on Friday night, I don't know. And then the same guy gets away with a blatant cross-check to Charlie Coyle in the crease, goes tumbling into Jeremy Swayman, and then scores the goal to tie the game at 2. Nothing. And the Bruins get assessed a penalty for delay of game after they lose the challenge because Toronto says there was no interference on the play, that the play did not cause Jeremy Swayman any discomfort in the crease. What a joke. Excuse me, I sip my coffee, Angel. God damn it.
Are we sure that we don't have the same refs from New York that these guys aren't? I know Boston obviously is not that far away for some, if those of us who lived up there in the New England area.
Yeah, it's 3 hours, but still.
Yeah.
Well, but you know what? It's about, did they jump ship from New York to Toronto? Did the replay officials, and I'll even lump in our friends at 345 Park Avenue as well in the NFL. Sometimes I don't understand how you can be an official in Toronto, see what the rule is, and then come up with that explanation after you've seen the video over and over again. Somebody tell me something. How? Break it down for me. Break it down for me. I honestly, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Oh man! Now you know what? And here, and in fact, let's scroll down and play Jeremy Swayman in the locker room after the game for Bruins Daily on my Twitter feed, Angel. If we could do that.
Yep.
This is Jeremy Swayman with reporters in front of his locker room, or his locker in the locker room, talking about it. And I give him credit because he handled it a lot better than I would have. But here it is. Here's Jeremy Swayman last night. You can see it on the video on our awesome video platform here, the Riptide Media Network video platform. And here it is.
I don't think progress was impeded. I just think that we could have prevented that. And the fact is that Coyle was pushed into me. I couldn't play my position. So that's that.
How frustrating is that, Jeremy, as you kind of go through it in your mind? I'm sure you've already gone through it in your mind a bunch of times.
I just want to stick to facts, and the fact is that my own player was pushed into me by theirs, and I couldn't play my position.
Were you confident that when the review was going on that it was going to come off the board?
Again, I can only stick to facts. I know that our guys aren't going to call a challenge unless they know it's going to get reversed. So the fact is that I couldn't play my position.
Obviously, you guys had to overcome that, tried to battle, but you had another power play opportunity. What was your mindset after that? The way things unfolded.
I was very confident in our power play, our penalty kill, and I knew that we were going to get the job done and use that momentum, and I think we did a great job of that. And very proud of the guys in front of me for sticking to the game plan, not getting phased, and you're going to have moments like that. And I just couldn't be more proud of the guys in front of me for sticking to the game plan and getting the job done.
All right, there he is, Bruins goaltender Jeremy Swayman. Another outstanding game last night with 38 saves that he made. Florida wins 3-2. Very controversial game. Here's Jim Montgomery and his comments after last night's game.
Jim, did you get an explanation from the on-ice guys about why there was no interference on the tying goal?
Toronto ruled that it was a good goal, that the play didn't interfere with the goal. That's the explanation I got.
What did you see on it? When you saw the replay, you made the decision to challenge. What led to that decision?
We thought that Coyle was on top of our goaltender. And if Coyle was able to stand his ground, he could have cleared the puck. That inhibited our goaltender from being able to react to play in the puck.
Okay, let's just...
Yes. Yes. Being kind. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So once again, we have incompetent officiating. Not only the officials on the ice miss it on a couple of areas. First of all, they didn't even call a cross-check on Bennett at all for Coyle. They missed that play. They missed the interference call, which clearly should have been called according to the rule. And then the jackasses in Toronto, they can't get it right on a replay official after a couple of minutes looking at it, and then sent down some phony baloney excuse as to why. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense. Not any layers to that smelly onion. Does that make any sense at all? The way the officials reacted to their explanation for the penalty that was not called, for the goal that should have been disallowed. Video reviews supported the referee's call on the ice that the shove by Florida's Sam Bennett on Charlie Coyle and the subsequent contact with Jeremy Swayman did not prevent Swayman from playing his position in the crease prior to Bennett's goal. Stevie Wonder could have made that call last night. It's that obvious. It was that obvious. You can't. I don't understand how you come to the conclusion that Jeremy Swayman wasn't interfered with because Charlie Coyle was shoved in the back and cross-checked by Sam Bennett.
Did someone sub him a 20?
I don't understand it. 727-858-6650. If you're in Toronto today and you were in that booth last night, please give me a call. I would love to hear your pathetic explanation or try to an excuse. Anything. Give me something as to how you can, and I'll play the video for you, knuckleheads, frame by frame. I'm talking about the knuckleheads in Toronto. Frame by frame, we can go through it. And you can tell me where you saw non-interference that Jeremy Swayman wasn't interfered with at all by Charlie Coyle, not because of him, but because he was shoved in the back by the now notorious Sam Bennett, who just sucker punches people and doesn't get penalized for that. Takes out the Bruins captain, one of their best players, obviously. No penalty, no suspension, no misconduct, nothing. And then the same guy gets away with a cross-check at Charlie Coyle. Oh, I'm just absolutely livid. Livid. All right. And Angel, I want to get this out of the way too, because people need to see this if they haven't already. We can scroll down NHL on TNT about this is the guys breaking down Sam Bennett's hit on Brad Marchand. We did not see this.
The hell's playing?
I don't know. Oh, that's on my end. Hang on. That shouldn't be. No, that's not on my end. All right, hang on a second. It might have been my end. No, that's playing on your end, Angel. That's playing on your end.
Hold on.
Yep.
That's because for some reason Twitter decided to freaking play two things at once. Goodness gracious.
No big deal. All right, let's scroll down, and this is the guys on TNT. This is the hit that happened on Friday where Sam Bennett punches Brad Marchand with a right to his ear, and that's how he went flying into the boards. We didn't see this angle. Nobody saw it until last night. So here it is, and we'll have all explanation as well.
Here is one, guys. We found this, and now that you've seen this, I'm wondering, what do you think?
Got him. I'm dog. Well, this is all you, man. I was on it. I saw it right when I saw it because I saw him getting up wobbly, and I'm like, something happened here. And I know Bennett. Plays on the edge, like you said. Like, he's a junkyard dog. He's nasty. He lives right there, and he'll get you if he can. And that was hidden. When Paul Maurice says in his comments, it just looked like a collision to me, he hides it so well. But I think there's intent there for him to throw that little rabbit shot out there on that collision to make that happen. And I was on the case the other night. I discovered it. I saw it. I right when I noticed it, it's like you can't not see it. And we've seen Sam Bennett do this before. He got kind of Matthew Nyes last year in the playoffs as well. And I think that's what Jim Montgomery's talking about. So, look, he's an important player for the Florida Panthers. Would anybody else want him on their team come playoff time?
Every single team.
I think every team would, yes. And so do you get some of that from him on the edge? And I think the most thing to me, too, that kind of put the cherry on top is after the collision with the punch, he's going to go off the ice, Ace. And we say he kind of turned around and looked and like, did anyone get me?
Yep.
And he's sneaky and he's nasty. He's a nasty, nasty man. And he means business. And especially come playoff time, he's a weapon for this Florida Panther team.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear anyone saying, well, it's Brad Marchand and he's this evil player and fancy. I don't care. It's all about players' well-being, simple, full-stop biz. So it could be Brad Marchand, it could be Patrice Bergeron. It doesn't care who it is. When I see that happening to a player like that, I get pretty infuriated because that is not hockey at all. However, when Sam Bennett's on the ice, you need to keep your head in a swivel, without a doubt. And I'm kind of just surprised that nobody had caught that. We didn't catch it. We thought it was like a clean hit.
Yep.
We saw it afterwards.
Well, we thought it was a body shot.
Right. I had to go on BR Open Ice the next day on Instagram, and I was creeping their page, and I saw it. I was like, oh, my gosh. And the group text was like, hey, boys, this looks kind of fishy to me. Let's take a look at this. And what kind of bugs me a little bit more is because there's a little extra attention at that game, too, and no one caught it. That's the biggest thing for me there, Biz.
And I mean, you guys covered it all. Like, what's going to be the retribution now? How do the Boston Bruins respond to that, right? You saw after what had happened in Game 2 and Game 3 how they handled things off the draw with Marchand asking Barkov to fight. Later in that game, then Coyle asking Barkov. But I hated the way that they came into Game 3. They had a brutal approach, whether it was just asking him and not really enticing him to do it for whatever reason, whether it was going to try to take runs at their star players or all the East-West nonsense. They didn't put the puck in deep, and they didn't invest, and as you like to say, tenderize. Well, you don't say tenderize.
The opponents.
Tenderize the opponents, right? They weren't physical at all. They only mustered up 8 shots on net through the first 2 periods. So overall, horrible response. What do you
Yeah, and the business, right, Paul? Isn't it? No, I mean he was right, but that again, this was a pregame last night when they went through all of this. I mean, it's just unbelievable that Sam Bennett was involved in yet another controversial play. But here's how the game started last night. Charlie McAvoy set the tone early.
With you for this one. The bouncing puck is corralled by Barkov. Oh, big body check by McAvoy as he destroyed Sam Reinhart.
It was DeBrus behind the net, but here comes the hit right there. I mean, the puck was just in the feet here. The backhand pass by Barkov, and the timing couldn't have been any better there by McAvoy. And I know he's got 0 shots. He's a -2.
Yeah, that's how it started. Now, this is also on the pregame. This is Sam Bennett talking about the hit on Marchand.
Yeah, I mean, it's I got a little taste of it last year in Toronto, and I guess I'm getting kind of used to it. Yeah, I mean, on that play, obviously, I'm not trying to punch him in the head.
It's exactly
like
what
everyone's
you
saying.
did.
Other people can have different opinions. I'm just bracing myself for him coming to hit me. There's no way I would have had time to think about punching him in the head. But people can see it however they want. It's playoff hockey. There's gonna be hard plays. Obviously, it's unfortunate he got hit, but that's just a hockey play in my mind.
It's not a hockey play. You punched him in the head. It was clearly intentional. Here comes some more BS through your listening devices.
Sam, I'm just going to go back to your answer on the original hit with Marchand. Now, when he's coming to hit you and you've kind of come around with that right, are you just basically trying to reverse hit him? Is that what you're trying to say in a sense of a hockey play? And it just so happens that right hand gets up a little bit and that's what makes the contact?
Exactly. That's exactly it. He's coming at me. Normally, I'm going to go with 2 hands to protect myself. Coming back from an injury, I'm going to protect myself however I can. So, that's really all that there was to it. And again, like I said, it's unfortunate he got injured on it.
Well, Sam, it's another day, and we have another piece of video.
Yeah, and that's when they showed in the video. And that I understand what Bish is saying, and I understand what Bennett is saying about protecting yourself when you're going to get hit. I get all that. This was clearly intentional. He goes, his fist is like, boom, hits him right in the face, right in the ear. Clearly intentional. And like we showed in the video, nastiness, and he looked around because he goes, oh, I just got away with that one. Yeah, you knocked out one of the best players in the game and my team's captain. That's what you did. You got away with it. And I don't know how Gary Bettman can't respond to something like that. He should have been suspended for that game for what he did on Friday night. He cold-cocked him in the head, caused him to have a concussion, for Christ's sake. What else do you need? What other evidence do you need? And why wasn't that angle available on Friday night? Somebody explain that to me, too. What are we doing?
That's where it starts to make you wonder about every part of officiating and every league, because it's not just like the NBA, it's the NHL. We've seen in Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, we've seen within the last week strikes being called way out of the zone. So it's the same way. And you're right. How in the world was that not available? Because that was a punch. I mean, I saw it for the first time as close as possible, and you can see he's going in with the right hand, and you got the stick in your hand as well.
He's got it like that. Boom.
Yep.
He clearly, that was not, oh, I might get hit. That wasn't one of these, I've been on that situation at a much lower level. I know, I mean, I understand what Bisonet was saying there, and I understand what Ben about protecting yourself on hits. It happens all the time. You don't protect yourself by boom and then hitting somebody in the ear. That was not putting his arms up or his hands up trying to protect himself. That was a clear, well thought out punch to the ear of Brad Marchand that apparently caused some sort of concussion. End of story. No one can tell me any different. Nobody. And certainly these knuckleheads. I mean, I don't know how that angle wasn't done, and then you have the same guy involved with a cross-check on Charlie Coyle that apparently is legal in Toronto, but not in other countries. I don't know. All right, I'm going to settle down. Quick break. We have lots to talk about still with this game. I want to hear your thoughts as well, and you can You can express them at 727-858-6650, call or text, or you can listen on our and text on our plethora of Riptide Media Network video platforms. Follow me at Twitter, X-Twitter at PShep326, on my Facebook page and Broad Street South Facebook and YouTube pages, Spotify, Twitch, Rumble, LinkedIn, of course, Sports Radio 102.9. We will recap the other great game last night, Vancouver and Edmonton, another nail-biter, and the NBA, which has completely been unpredictable for most of the weekend. Teams that we thought were out are back in big time. That's all part of the Pete Sheppard Show later on today at 8:30 a.m. Mick Colaggio will join me, great writer for the NHL writer, and covered the Bruins game last night. We'll talk to him, get his take on it. And then at 9:05 from the Boston Globe, Christopher Price will join me, and we will talk some NFL football. That's redundant. We'll talk the National Football League. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show live from the Naples Well Planning Studio today here on the Riptide Media Network.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. It is the Pete Sheppard Show here on a magnificent Monday, May 13th, live from the Naples Wealth Planning Studio on the Riptide Media Network as we continue the breakup song. I'd like to break up all the people in Toronto who didn't make the right call last night and screwed the Bruins over in that game. Absolutely 100%. 100%. Anyway, we digress. No, I'm not going to digress. I'm going to keep hopping on it all day until I get an explanation from somebody. Somebody needs to tell me, break it down by frame by frame by frame. I've already done it for you. I can do it again. I'll do it again later on. It's just ridiculous. I know Bruins general manager Don Sweeney is going to be speaking today before the team flies back down here to Fort Lauderdale or Miami, wherever the hell they're landing, before Game 5, which will be tomorrow night. Meanwhile, also last night in the NHL, Vancouver and Edmonton. This has been an outstanding series so far as well. Those of you who's staying up late to watch it, here's what Edmonton got it going in the first.
Corey Perry tries to settle the puck down. Up the wall, it's Ekholm. Plays it across point to point. Nurse down the wall. Shot into traffic. Loose puck. Ekholm scores!
Yes, he does. That put Edmonton up 1-0 in the first period. But later on in the game, let's see where we at. Okay. Yes, Vancouver, though, jumps out to a 3-1 lead in the first period.
Here's Suter off the bench. Stops on a dime. Here's Hughes with space. Pulls the trigger, deflected wide by Fogle. Besser tried to play it out in front. Intercepted, then turned over. Suter for Besser. Scores! It's a first period hat trick for Brock Besser. A natural hat trick for Besser. His second of the postseason, and it's 3-1 Vancouver.
Yep, hat trick as opposed to a natural hat trick as opposed to a hat trick, which means you score 3 straight goals without anybody else scoring from the other team or anybody on your team. So that's quite impressive to see that. That put them up 3-1 in the third period. Later on, it's 4-2. Here come the Oilers, though.
Out wide it goes. Nugent Hopkins flips it to the back. Ekholm for Bouchard. On for Draisaitl. Centering pass, Ekholm. Leaves it for Bouchard. Wrist shot. Knocked down in front. They score! Zach Hyman puts it in. And Edmonton has life with 1:16 to go.
Yeah, they made it 4-3 late in the third period, as you just heard. 1:16 to go. And here are the closing moments of that one, thanks to TNT.
Are not able to get the puck deep. Bouchard with 12 seconds. Shoots it in, high of the net. Soucy is on the puck. Hard around. Draisaitl to the middle. Loose puck. Draisaitl picks it up. 3 seconds left. One last chance. Wide of the net. And that does it. The Canucks hang on to win Game 3. A 41 save performance.
Yeah, it was. Vancouver wins 4-3. The Canucks take the lead in the series 2-1. Man, it's been an unbelievable series. Tonight, Carolina at the Rangers at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Rangers leading there 3-1. Carolina stayed alive with a win over the weekend at home. And Dallas at Colorado, 9:30 on ESPN with the Stars leading that series 2-1 as well. Now, I told you on Friday that my NBA lock of the year, playoff lock of the year, was going to be the Indiana Pacers -7 ended up being -7 over the Knicks. Unfortunately, they only won by 5. See, what happened is, Angel, they were listening. Now, the score that was yesterday, which was Indiana clobbering the Knicks 121-89, it wasn't even that close. The Knicks were trailing in that by 1 point by 43 points. That's what should have happened on Friday. And then you can go back and play the closer game, even though Indiana won both of them on yesterday afternoon. That's how it's supposed to go. But no, the reverse Jedi mind tricked me, and unfortunately, I lost. But that's what teasers are for.
Yeah,
the NBA. But the Indiana Pacers and the Knicks were no match for them yesterday. The injuries bug is really starting to catch up with the Knicks. We'll see what happens. But here's some of the highlights yesterday: Indiana and the Knicks. And here's one. Okay, let's go right to the third quarter.
The Knicks on the verge of going up 3-0 in this series, but Nembhard hits that shot, and it's 2-1. And now the Pacers, the momentum has certainly shifted. Siakam goes inside and throws it down.
Tom Thibodeau upset with a turnover, another timeout, more standing ovations. There's been a plethora of them for the Pacer fans.
Another turnover off this inbound pass. Pascal Siakam, so long, so athletic, goes and gets the basketball. Got a teammate there, but he's like, I'm more of a highlight reel than Mr. Nembhard, so I'm going to take it. And a little enjoyment like, yeah, I'm sorry I passed on you.
Yeah, meanwhile, Tyrese Halliburton was awesome yesterday as well.
The pressure, and yes, his footwork is great. He's relentless, but boy, that takes a toll.
Halliburton hits a three. Tyrese Halliburton from way downtown. And I mean, if there's an exclamation point on this first half for the Indiana Pacers, it's this Tyrese Halliburton three.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Yesterday, it was all about the Indiana Pacers from the get-go. It really was. Halliburton finished yesterday with 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. There. Some other highlights, some other post-game press conferences after the game. Rick Carlisle.
We had better concentration and focus. Our habits were better, and early, we got some good opportunities in transition, and they missed some shots, and so we got a good start, and then we're able to sustain a lot of good things throughout. There's such a long way to go here.
Yeah, Tom Thibodeau also talked in the postgame about this team being fatigued.
Coach, you feel like you guys just kind of ran out of gas in this one?
Yep. Fell behind early. Didn't respond well. So, got to fix it.
How do you fix, I guess, dead legs? Is it just rest and recovery? What do you do from here?
Get ready for the next one.
Yep.
Nope. Not true. How do you fix it? You already had a conversation with the referees back in New York and saying the fix is in. That's how you fix it.
I have no doubt that they're going to get a lot of calls. But on the other hand, I'm not sure physically if even the refs can make up for how fatigued and banged up the Knicks are. But we'll see. Tom Thibodeau says it doesn't matter. Lose by 1, lose by 30. It's all the same.
They're all the same. They're all the same. It's not good. So whether you lose by 1 or you lose by 30, it doesn't. It's a loss, So you have to respond the right way. It's how you.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson, who obviously he's banged up too. Didn't have a great game yesterday himself. He missed a whole bunch of shots. That's a DiFrancesco. Brunson finished with 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. And talked about the guys who are still healthy.
We have what we have in that locker room. And so, yes, we are down guys, but the people who go out there, we have the utmost faith in every single one of them who goes out on that court. So as a team, we need to sit together. We need to be better. And that's just it going forward.
All right, more from Jalen Brunson.
I'm not trying to have this be a pity party, but just from a basketball sense, you feel like you have less lift or less burst?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Abruptly left. But one more thing, he did talk about Let me see. But he did talk about how he's going to fix his shooting.
Jalen, when you're in game and you notice a trend of like tonight, a number of your jumpers miss short, what do you do to try to fundamentally edit that during a game? How do you go about trying to fix that in game?
The easy answer is yes. I try and fix it.
Well, how?
Trying to put the ball in the rim.
Is there a fundamental way that you go about it? Do you talk to coaches? Do you watch it, film on yourself on an iPad when you're out of the game?
It's a feel thing, and it's also not overthinking. Sometimes the ball goes in, sometimes it doesn't, and so there've been plenty of games where I've started the game terribly and finished shooting 50%. There are games where I've started 100% and shot below 50%. So the game is basketball is going to do things that are you just don't know, that are unexpected. So the ball just didn't go in, and I just take it as we move forward.
How do you fix it? Put the ball in the rim. We have breaking news. This is legit. Yes, our first NFL schedule leak of the year, and it is official. Adam Schefter and others, Field Yates talking about it. It's 115 days from now. Thursday night, September 5th, the 2024 regular season opener is now set as predicted by me. The Baltimore Ravens will be at Kansas City in a rematch of the AFC Championship. That is week 1, Thursday night opener. AFC Championship game rematch between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. Angel, not too surprised with that one at all. So that's a great way to open up the season. It's only 115 days away. I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad. Although I thought it would maybe have saved that game for the Netflix special on Christmas, but
yeah, that's definitely going to happen. That's a double header, double whammy, no question. So it will be the 2024 NFL season, Thursday, September 5th, an AFC Championship game rematch with the Ravens and the Chiefs.
In KC?
In KC. Of course, the defending Super Bowl champions will always play at home.
Oh, boy.
NBC at 8:20, and that is going to be that'll be great. That is awesome. And last year, Detroit gave them a hell of a game last year in Kansas City as well. So we will keep you posted on any and all schedule leaks that happen. I'm sure there's going to be others that come out. I'll bet you before the end, I hope before I get off the air at 10, we have some more. But this is usually when you start to get those where the Christmas Day games will come out. And it's particularly intriguing this year because, as you just pointed out, Angel, great point about it being on Netflix, the doubleheader. And I can't wait to see what teams are going to be playing on Netflix.
That's right. I want to see.
They're not going to be scrubby teams. I can tell you that. They're going to be teams. I would be stunned if all 4 teams did not finish with winning records at the end of last season anyway. Of course, that could change. You never know one season to the next, but that's how they're going to judge us. And I'm sure we're going to start to see by the end of today, Thanksgiving Day leaks. Of course, we know Detroit and Dallas are going to be playing in those games. We just don't know who their opponents are going to be. So I'm sure we're going to get the Thanksgiving Day leaks today, as well as I think Christmas Day leaks, and maybe a Sunday night, maybe a couple of Thursday night games in there as well, besides Thanksgiving. I have a feeling we will that it's going to start to come out. Just be careful, those of you, and I'm putting myself in this too, be careful online with some of these schedule leaks. Some people that I know exactly what they're doing I trust them. But there are others that are going to do fake schedules and stuff like that. Now, there are ways to try to piece certain team schedules together, or a lot of teams. As leaks come out, you can kind of crisscross a couple things off. Brian McCarthy, the NFL big PR guy. Each of the NFL Network's partners will announce a key 2024 season game over the next few days prior to the full schedule release, which is supposed to be 8 o'clock now on Wednesday. I thought it was going to be third. Now, it is Wednesday. They said they might push it to Thursday. It's going to be 8 o'clock Wednesday, the full schedule. Now, I'll guarantee you before Wednesday, we are going to have a whole bunch of leaks. So, as Brian McCarthy said, each of the NFL's network partners meaning the teams, will announce a key 2024 season game over the next few days. So that means a lot. And mostly will probably be the team's openers that will be posted, or holiday games. More than likely, that's what I'm taking from that.
Well, you still have, too, the controversy from the Eagles because they're playing in Brazil, but apparently they can use the uniform that they want to use out there in Brazil. So that's still yet to be determined what they're going to end up using there, unless they go back to.
I didn't see that. What, are you saying they're not allowed to wear one of their uniforms?
Yeah, because apparently, so one of the teams out there in Brazil used like a certain uniform. I can't remember if it was the white jerseys with the eagle, but they use a uniform very similar to what the Eagles end up using. Now, I will be highly and thoroughly disgusted if the Eagles decided to play them stupid blue uniforms they used to have like way back in the day. It looked like the Michigan Hens, which was just absolutely absurd. And then just as bad as a Phillies Friday night special stupid City League jersey. But I'm dying to see that. And there was something else too in accordance to that schedule. Well, I know last year someone made a phony Sheppard account and looked everything almost identical, but I forgot. But I think they put in there because they got one from AOC, but it's like not AOC or not. It's like they put the phony in there, but in the bottom under Adam Schefter, and he got duped when someone put that stuff out there. But yeah, I want to see, because you figured, all right, Pete, we have Thursday night game, which is normally what Detroit guaranteed for Thanksgiving. Yeah, Detroit. Dallas.
Game. That's the 12:30 game, and then Dallas will be the 4:30 game. And there'll be a Christmas, and there'll be a there's a Thanksgiving and a Thanksgiving night game as well. So there's 3 games on Thanksgiving.
Right. So you figure if you take 2 out of those 3, unless you add Green Bay in there, I still, if we had to guess, and you guys want to add to the comments here as well, I just want to know, who do we think or who do we believe could end up being the doubleheader on Netflix special Christmas Day?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of rematch. We've gone over. I don't have the whole list in front, but there's about 12 or 13 games that are significant rematches, or somebody coming back, either a coach or a player, against their former team. There's a lot of that stuff. So there's a lot of intrigue out there as well. It's just catching my eye. Just real quick too, before we recap Denver and Minnesota. The NCAA softball Field of 64 was announced. All 13 schools from the SEC are in the tournament. All 13. Fourth time that's ever happened. Fourth time that has ever happened. As they say, the SEC just means more. And the top 2 seeds, meaning Texas and Oklahoma, Oklahoma's won it 3 years in a row. Guess where they're playing next year? SEC. And congratulations go out. And I know our boy Robbie Listella has been covering this team. Florida Atlantic made the tournament. Where are they in this? I'm trying to find where they are. They're the one. Oh, of course, the Gators are in it. How about Indiana's in it? All 13. Florida State's in it as well. Florida State's going to play Duke.
And Robbie's covering FAU, correct?
Yes. No, actually, Florida State is going to play UCF. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're not playing UCF. Hang on. This is too... oh, no. Okay. Here we go. How about Boston University getting in it? Oh, my. That's amazing. They're going to be playing Oregon. Good for them. Florida State will play Auburn. Let's see here. Trying to find the local schools. Again, all 13 make it in. Let's see. I'm still looking for. Geez, where's FAU? Villanova got in. Villanova will be playing Southeast Missouri State in that one. Oh, there's Florida Atlantic. Okay, Florida Atlantic is going to play. Is that did FGCU get? This writing is so small I can't see it. I retweeted it, but I don't know, Angel. Maybe you can. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But Florida Atlantic is in it. They're in the same region as South Alabama and the Florida Gators. So yeah, I think FGCU. I think they got in as well, which is great. So a lot of good Florida teams in. All 13 SEC schools got in. All right, back to the NBA. Denver and Minnesota. Everybody, including myself, I was not sure the Denver Nuggets, because they look like the aforementioned horse poo-poo. They did not look good the first two games. They got clobbered at home by the Minnesota Timberwolves. But we all have to remember, this is the NBA. These are the defending NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets. And I'll tell you, when you make shots like this, it's unbelievable. And you know the defending champions. Minnesota has a lot of good young players, obviously. But do they have the killer instinct? They have a very, very young team. First time they're experiencing this. The Denver Nuggets, though, Jamal Murray at the end of the half. Unbelievable.
Gets it to go. Beating the clock. Court length. It's intercepted. Murray good at the goal. Now. 8-0 run, a Reggie Miller run in the final 15 seconds of the first half.
And look at Jamal Murray staring down Kevin Harlan, who just received his jersey here. Here's the dunk by Porter Jr. Here you thought the quarter was over. A turnover by Alexander Walker. Not giving up the play is Jamal Murray. Like it had eyes. I see you, Kev.
And you're wondering, yes, Kevin Harlan was honored before the game yesterday because he, Angel, in case you didn't know, was the original voice of Minnesota Timberwolves television when they came into play way back. Actually, not too far back. But so Kevin Harlan, one of the best in the business anyway. And great stuff by him. So let's see. Some more highlights. Here's the Joker.
For success.
Gordon to inbound, and Jokic will retrieve it, and then drive to the baseline and put it in. Big-time play by Jokic.
Here's the pass. You gamble, you don't come up with it. Jokic again.
16 points this quarter.
Yep, and they go on to win, well, not easily, but they held off Minnesota 115-107. They were in control of this game for 95% of it. You had Edwards had for Minnesota had 44, 5, and 5. Jokic had 35.7 rebounds and 7 assists. Aaron Gordon talked about the end of the first half.
Aaron, what was it like to see you guys score 8 points in the final 20 seconds of that first half? And what did it do for you guys going into half?
Yeah, that was sick. I mean, that was crazy, man. Jamal Murray, three-quarter court three. It's so sick. It's just you make something like that, and it's like, okay, at least we know our point guard's hot.
Meanwhile, Mike Malone, head coach for the Denver Nuggets and Bishop Hendricken High School alum, by the way, breaks down Nikola Jokic's and Jamal Murray's two-man game.
The Jokic-Murray two-man game had a lot of success tonight after struggling in the first two games of this series. Jokic in the short roll. Just what do you attribute that to?
I attribute it to 8 years of experience. Those guys, I think, have long been elite in terms of their two-man efficiency, their ability to read each other, play off of each other, read the defense. So I think the experience is a big part of it. And you have two guys that they don't care who gets the shot. They're going to read the situation and make the right play. And they have a lot of really good defenders that are long and all over Jamal. His ability to find Nikola in the pocket. And when that happens, that's kind of like, unlocking the Rubik's Cube. Anything can happen after that. When Nikola has the ball in the pocket, it's lob, it's kick out three, or it's one of the most patented, most efficient floaters in the NBA. So that's always something that we try to go to. And Jamal and Nikola, obviously, but all the years and all the repetitions have become great in terms of reading and playing off each other.
Meanwhile, young superstar Anthony Edwards on what he told Jamal Murray at the end of the game.
Anthony, did you have any words with Jamal or any of the Nuggets at the end of the game there? Looked like you
yeah. I just told his ass, that's what we love that. Keep talking that. That's what we like. Well, I love it, So, he ain't say nothing back, but I'm pretty sure he heard me. They heard me. Yeah, we live for that.
He also, I love that kid. Also says they got beat up the last couple games.
How do you sleep after games like this? Like how'd you sleep after game 3 and the games like this, especially when?
I mean, the same that I sleep after the first 2 games. It's no different. This is series. I mean, we won 2 games, but we didn't think it was going to be easy. I mean, this is, like I always say, these are the defenders. I said it after game 2. They're not going to lay down. They're going to punch, and we're going to punch back. And they beat us up tonight. The last 2 nights, they beat us up in the fight. And that's okay. You know, we'll be all right. We'll bounce back, figure it out next game, and we'll be ready again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll play more highlights a little bit later on in the show from all of these games, including the Stanley Cup. The other couple NBA Nuggets. I told you, JJ Redick's ended up being the head coach of the Lakers. It's so obvious. I don't know why they're wasting time here. He is absolutely. I'll be stunned if he's not. And Matt Barnes talked about. I'm not going to play it now. The draft lottery last night, which probably nobody even remembered. The Atlanta Hawks get the number 1 overall pick.
The second pick will be made by the Washington Wizards, and that means that the number 1 pick in the 2024 NBA draft goes to the Atlanta Hawks.
Wow, an absolute stunner.
No.
They only had a 3% chance to get it.
Yep.
3% chance. The Pistons, who had the highest percentage to get it, finished at number 5.
Yep, I was just about to say that. That's freaking insane. Don't listen. The fix starts from the lottery and it keeps going from there. Because there's no way in the world you're going to tell me that Atlanta, a 3% shot ends up getting it. Come on. That's like me playing the freaking lottery with 50 cents.
It has happened. But hey, remember Cleveland got it 3 years in a row, remember? And twice they had like 3% chances out of those 3. 1 year was legit. So, I mean, it does happen. I don't buy into that, nor did I ever buy into the envelope was closed in 85 when the Knicks drafted Patrick Ewing and all that stuff. But I will tell you this, Angel. ESPN, and I'll go to Brad. I know I'm running late, but it's my show. I can do what I want. Along with Angel's help. They did a mock draft on ESPN. For the number 1 pick, the Atlanta Hawks select Alex Sarr. Nobody knows who he is. You know why? Because he plays in one of our great countries that follows us, Australia. Perth. Hello. Alex Sarr averages 19 points a game for some league that nobody ever heard of. With the number 2 pick, they have the Washington Wizards going with Zachary Rasasser.
Who's that?
He's from Borg, B-O-U-R-G, not Borg like Star Trek, Borg. B-O-U-R-G. He's a Frenchman.
So we're going after more.
He averages 19 points. So we go from Perth to Borg or Bourges. Bourges is a part of France. I guess, yeah. He's French. Let me see. Anyway, it's very. Remember, Bilal Koulibaly was another Frenchman the Wizards drafted last year. So, number 3, you finally get to know somebody. Reed Sheppard from Kentucky goes to the Houston Rockets via the Brooklyn Nets. With the 4th seed, Rob Dillingham, also from Kentucky, they have going to the Spurs. And for the 5th, the Detroit Pistons selects Matas Buzelis from the G League Ignite.
Already.
So 3 of the first top 5 picks, you have no idea. You do know Donovan Clingan from UConn. They have been going to Charlotte. 3 of the top 5 picks are from countries and places and leagues you never heard of. Good luck with that. All right, quick break here. Actually, it'll be like a 4-minute break. When we come back, NFL breaking news. We had it for you at the top. We'll tell you again. The game 1 is set by the NFL, and its defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs will be taking on the Baltimore Ravens, 8 o'clock. In 115 days on September 5th, 2024. We'll recap all of that and break everything else down for you as well. At the bottom of the hour, Mick Colaggio joins me talking Bruins and NHL. 9:05 a.m. Christopher Price from the Boston Globe and my old NFL Sunday partner. We used to do Patriots pregame stuff together. He'll be joining me coming up at 9:05. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show live from the Naples Wealth Planning Studio right here on the Riptide Media Network.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. It's well into hour number 2 of the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Monday, live from the Naples Wealth Planning Studio. On the Riptide Media Network. And I play the song in honor of the incompetence of the replay officials in Toronto. You incompetent jackasses. It is a sin, damn it.
When I look back upon my life, it's always with a
They should look back upon their lives in Toronto for making that stupid, ridiculous, idiotic statement that came out of there about Charlie Coyle being cross-checked by Stan Bennett into Jeremy Swaven.
No matter when or where.
And then I get this explanation.
As one thing
This is what the league said. In confidence.
It's a sin.
Video review supporting the referee's call on the ice at the shove by Florida Sam Bennett on Charlie Coyle and the subsequent contact with Jeremy Swayman did not prevent Swayman from playing the position in the crease prior to Bennett's goal. It is a sin.
At school they taught me how to be. So you're informed of what
It was all done being outraged, but the song just brings back painful memories from last night. Anyway, how's everybody doing? Thanks everybody for checking out the Pete Sheppard Show here. Really, what the rule is and what the explanation was are, I don't understand how the referees came to that conclusion last night, but we digress. Once again, welcome to the show. Michelangelo, 8:30, Christopher Price at 9:05 a.m. Watch the show, as always, on a plethora of video platforms here on the Riptide Media Network. Follow me on Twitter X at pshep326. Facebook page, mine and the Broad Street South. Facebook and YouTube pages on Twitch, Rumble, LinkedIn, Spotify, and, of course, on Sports Radio 102.9. All right, Angel, I'm not going to lose it anymore, I promise. Oh, the line is out. Oh, hang on. More breaking news. Hang on. This is important. This is important right now. We told you a little while ago the breaking news about the NFL opening their season September 5th. It's a rematch of the AFC Championship game. Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. Now the game lines are out, Angel, which I know you're a big gambler.
Yes.
Kansas City opens as a 3-point favorite. The total 49.5. Money line, Ravens plus 130. The Chiefs minus 155. That's before any injury reports. That's before, rookie minicamp just got done. The initial line right now, Kansas City minus 3, total 49.5. For those of you who really want to jump on board now,
Pete will be right back. He just popped out. Pop right back in.
115 days till the start of the NFL season, even shorter for the start of college football, coming up on August 31st. Gas Pump Guy said, so the Blades pull out the win. I can't wait to hear whoever you guys have on this week from the Blades. Yeah, I will know that as well. The Everblades, yes. They came back. Yeah, go ahead.
He says, he also said, good morning. Hope that we had a great weekend.
Oh, okay. Yes, did have a great weekend. Absolutely. Yep, Bobo Carpenter had a goal. 6:04 left. So the Everblades win 2-1 against Orlando in Game 5. They win the series 4-1. They're headed back to the Eastern Conference Finals, third straight year. 8 more wins away. 8 wins away from back-to-back Kelly Cup titles, which is amazing. So they're going to await the winner of Adirondack, the Thunder, or the Norfolk Admirals series, and the Adirondack leads that series 3-2. So there you have it. And then we'll find out, what the schedule is going to be and all that stuff. So I guess regardless of who they play, Florida will open the series on the road at dates and times to be determined. The Everblades, by the way, will host Game 3 on Wednesday, May 22nd, Game 4 on Friday, May 24th, and Game 5 on Saturday, May 25th, if necessary, all at Hertz Arena.
On my birthday.
In Estero.
On my birthday, the 25th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I turned 24 all over again.
Yes. Fantastic. It's fantastic. Congratulations to the Everblades and Coach Brad Ralph and all the boys getting it done back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the third straight year. So, with that being said, the other news that's happening here in Florida, and it may be happening for those of you who have Xfinity, no matter where you are and what team you follow. Bally Sports is no longer available on Xfinity down here. So I have YouTube TV, so it's not available anyway. But I have the baseball package, so I don't get Marlins and Rays games here anyway, unless they're on national TV on Fox or something like that. But that is something that Bally Sports has no longer offered on Xfinity. So any Rays or Marlins fans are outraged down here, and I totally get it.
There's a clip which I can't, because of what the guy says. It's in Spanish, and he puts an old song and switches up the lyrics and says how bad the Marlins are. It took me out to the ball game, but he translated it in Spanish. But there's a couple of choice words that I cannot unfortunately play here because there'll be a lot of people saying, "What are you doing?" So, but it's quite funny.
If we could, before I get to, I'm going to do an MLB rundown, try to get that out of the way. Usually don't have time for it, but I'm going to do it today before we have Michelangelo come on at the bottom of the hour and I get angry all over again talking about the Bruins. If we scroll down to what happened 3 days ago, which would be Friday, on TNT, when Shaquille O'Neal tried to eat, I guess, the world's hottest potato chip. And you'll see
they're doing that challenge.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But you'll see it under, you see that's happened on May 10th. If you scroll down. Okay. So here it is. This is kind of funny on TNT the other night. NBA on TNT. Shaq tries to eat and not make a face. There's a little bet involved here, so I'll just have Angel play it.
Let me take out the...
Chuck, I bet you $20 I'll buy the chip, won't even make a face.
Bet. Without making a face. No water yet, brother.
Y'all must not know what fraternity I'm in. Tell them, man.
What fraternity is?
Omega Psi Phi. Till we die. It's nothing to me.
Wait for it.
I'm not making a face, I'm just coughing. I'm not making a face. I'm just coughing.
That counts as a face.
I'm not making, Ernie, I'm coughing.
I know when you go.
Ernie, I'm coughing. This would be making me like, I'm not making a face. Oh, it's hot. Anybody got some milk?
It got worse. Hey, so
Chuck, I bet you $20 I'll buy the chip on
it. That is outstanding. And I think I can't remember the show where all the celebrities, athletes, and actors, and even chefs alike go on the show and they start with the lowest. About eating the chicken wings, and it starts at the low. What is the name? The spiciness of peppers. I forget the scale that it's on. Starts off at jalapeno start at very low, like 5,000, and goes all the way up to, like 1 million or something like that. Crazy stuff. But Shaq was on that show too, if I'm not mistaken. There's like 3 seasons of it. It's available on Hulu, and it's an absolute riot. We see all these great athletes and go down the line and get hotter and hotter chicken wings. And water's the worst thing. If you don't know this, water is the worst thing you can have after eating some sort of spicy pepper. And as I've said all the time, the way to eliminate some of the spiciness, on some of them, like a jalapeno, is not only take the seeds out, but take the bark out. The bark is more potent. Or more hot, more heat than the seeds. People think it's just the seeds. It's the bark of any of the peppers. Take it out, unless you want the heat, then that's fine. You do what you want. But on that show, it is absolutely the worst thing to do is drink water. Shaq was right. You need milk and usually a nice piece of bread to sop up all the spices on your tongue. Milk works. Something sweet maybe. Water is the worst thing you could ever drink, trying to get rid of heat in your mouth with jalapenos or habaneros or whatever pepper it is. Yeah. Ghost peppers are, and dare I say, my chef tip of the day is make sure you wash your hands. Don't ever cut, or wear gloves. Don't ever cut these peppers, especially the ones that are really hot or even jalapenos. And then inadvertently you rub your eye by accident. Oh, bad.
Yeah, we're in that.
Bad move. Wash your hands immediately after cutting any type of hot pepper. Otherwise, you will feel the brunt of it. And don't go to the bathroom and touch yourself. in any way, shape, or form. No, if you're going, I mean, legitimately going to the bathroom, do not touch your stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Don't touch it. Hands off without washing your hands. This is a time we wash our hands before and after.
There was a Sergeant Costa when we were in Haiti. We were deployed out there. His wife, he's Italian. His wife, I think she had gone back home to Italy, and she sent him peppers. And him and I used to challenge ourselves all the time, like with eating the peppers. Because you're right, as far as the seeds, that's the hottest one.
Yeah.
So this time he tells me, he goes, "Hey, Angel," he goes, "usually we kind of go back and forth, right, with these peppers." I said, "Yeah." He goes, My wife said she found the spiciest one. I don't think so. I've already tasted it, and I don't think it's a case. But she said the seeds are like really sweet. She said, it's weird. I don't understand this pepper. And me not thinking about it, like a dope, I'm like, what? Where do you ever have any kind of hot pepper with sweet seeds? So it's like two small little seeds. He goes, "No, have these." You talk about being on fire. I felt like a freaking dragon trying to get the fire off my tongue. It was ridiculous.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, more breaking news, Angel.
No.
You may like this, you may not. NFL schedule leak file 452-7A. Friday, we already told you, Thursday night, Ravens at the Chiefs, September 5th. 115 days from now, 116 days from now, Angel, on Friday night, your Philadelphia Eagles will be hosting the Green Bay Packers. Is that the game in Brazil on Friday?
It's got to be.
Is that the one but anyway, Friday night, Packers versus the Eagles.
Yep, it's got to be the one in Brazil.
Yep. So that's what I have so far. The opening night, Thursday night, Ravens at the Chiefs. Friday night, Packers versus the Eagles. And if you could just look, I'm pretty sure that's the game in Brazil, right? That's what the Eagles are playing in Brazil, right?
Yeah, it should be. I think because it wasn't a weekend; it was like a weeknight.
We knew who they were playing. We knew who they were playing in Brazil. So this is a game. We just weren't sure when, and this is going to be their first game of the season, Angel. Brazil, hello. We're in Brazil, aren't we? We're in Brazil, you said, right? Our little map of people that listen to us.
We sure are.
Absolutely. I'm going to fly. You're going to get you down there.
Yeah, I'll go down there and cover the action. Hello, y cómo estamos de Brazil? Shut up. Okay, that's it. I'm back to the U.S.
I've never been to Rio. I hear it's changed a lot lately. Not the same. Rio de Janeiro.
We watched, I know, listen, Netflix. No, it's not Netflix. I'm sorry. TLC. You guys get a free plug once again.
Everybody gets a free plug on this show.
Yeah. If you ever watched the 90 Day Fiance, and they have like the whole bunch of different series, they have this one called, I think, In Paradise. And there's this guy that's down there in, he is in Brazil, but there's also a husband and wife. She was originally from Brazil, and then he moved her out to Vegas. And it's funny because they got it wrong. And I heard that Rio has changed a lot. It's gotten better than compared to what it was beforehand. But they show a shot of downtown LA, and then it's like they merge it into this street on Brazil. I'm like, LA never looked like Brazil. So you guys screwed up big time. Whoever did the editing footage screwed up big time. I'm like, you guys got not only two different countries, way two different areas. Although, I don't know, LA can look like Brazil at times because all the stuff that's changed there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, that'll be interesting. And we'll see what kind of reaction. The Eagles, I'm sure Eagle fans are going to travel well down to Brazil. That's pretty cool. On a Friday night, too. Holy cow.
Yeah, that'll be by Philly Sports Trips. Vince Rizzuto, those guys they put on. Listen, I know there's a lot of travel agencies that are out there. Vince does such a phenomenal job for the fan experience from the time they leave from Philly, no matter where the venue is. And I've been to a couple of them with him, especially when he comes down in this area. The tailgate parties and everything else they throw on there, it's absolutely phenomenal. So, so I'm pretty sure they're going to travel really well with Philly Sports Trips.
That's fantastic. That's great. So Thursday night, September 5th, NFL season opens up in Kansas City at Arrowhead with the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens in a rematch for the AFC title game from last year. So that is outstanding. And remember the Chiefs, if you forgot, the Chiefs won 17-10 before defeating the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. Chiefs are playing in the Thursday night opener at Arrowhead for the third time in 5 years. They defeated Houston in 2020. Remember, they lost to Detroit last year. They're 2-1 in the NFL kickoff game since it was introduced back in 2002. The Ravens lost their only previous kickoff appearance when they were beaten by the Denver Broncos on the road to start the 2013 season. And the full NFL schedule technically expected to be released on Wednesday. But as I told you earlier, got a text or a tweet from the NFL from Brian McCarthy, Chief Mucky Muck PR guy, 345 Park Avenue, says each of the NFL's network partners will announce a key 2024 season game over the next few days prior to the full schedule release of 8 o'clock on Wednesday. So we'll keep you apprised of all things NFL schedule leaks. All right, quick break. When we come back, Mick Colagio is going to join me. He was at the TD Garden last night to witness another game in another sport where we have to talk about the officials. He'll join me at the bottom of the hour. Christopher Price at 9:05. We'll talk NFL with him at that time. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show today. It's Monday, May 13th, live from the Naples Wealth Planning Studio on the Riptide Media Network.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I got a little taste of it last year in Toronto.
All the way through for Bennett. Then it's Ekman Larson. Tapped in Tarasenko with a shot that's blocked down. Puck still alive. Kicked out and they score! It's Bennett with the power play goal to tie it.
The first shot has knocked down Pink. He is still on the ice. Bennett's the one that to the right of the goaltender that bangs home.
Yeah, thanks ESPN with a call. Sam Bennett, public enemy number one in New England these days, for getting away. First he sucker punches Brad Marchand a couple of nights ago. Then he ends up cross-checking Charlie Coyle into the net of Jeremy Swayman, tumbling into him. And for some reason, somehow, some way, despite the rule, which is, and I will read it to you again because I cannot read it enough. For those of you who have not heard it yet or just joining us. The rule states clearly, if a defending player has been pushed, shoved, or fouled by an attacking player as to cause the defending player to come into contact with his own goalkeeper, such contact shall be deemed contact initiated by the attacking player for purposes of this rule, and if necessary, a penalty assessed to the attacking player, and if a goal is scored, it would be disallowed. The explanation that was handed to the media last night: Coach's challenge, Florida at Boston, 3:41 of the third period. Challenge initiated by Boston. Type of challenge, goaltender interference. Result, original call, confirmed, goal, Florida. Explanation, : where you can stick it. Video review supported by the referee's call on the ice that the shove by Florida's Sam Bennett, Charlie Coyle, and the subsequent contact with Jeremy Swayman did not prevent Swayman from playing his position in the crease prior to Bennett's goal. And then not only do they not get the penalty called, the goal is scored, and the Bruins get a 2-minute minor penalty for delay a game for unsuccessful challenge. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Mick Colagio going to be joining us in just a couple of minutes here. It should be any time now. He's usually very punctual. Usually very punctual. Go ahead.
Just to give everybody a bit of a wake-up tune here because of the confirmation for Friday.
Oh my God. And they will be playing the Green Bay Packers in Brazil, September 6th.
First one of the year.
It's only because I love you, I'll let you play this. No, it's fine. We have a lot of listeners in Philadelphia.
E-S Eagles. There you go, to start off for the season. And Mick's here.
And Mick is there. I did want to say, too, before chatting with Mick that I told you I've been blessed, and Mick will back this up. My alma mater, although I was, I won't even consider myself the JV athlete of the year, but certainly I went to a high school that has produced, first of all, above and beyond academic standards, great stuff. But to be associated with a high school that has produced so many professionals in the four majors and beyond that Bishop Hendrick High School is, and it is saddened and to know that I'm saddened, and condolences go out to AJ Smith, who I've met a couple of times over the years, another Hendricken grad, and he was a GM of the Chargers for a long, long time, and they just put out something. Belaying a tough matter of fact and no-nonsense persona, once synonymous with that of a true football guy, was AJ's softer side, which included a tremendous love for his family, the NFL, and the Chargers, the architect of one of the greatest chapters in franchise history. AJ made everyone around him better with a singular focus and intensity that elevated our organization. Our hearts are with his wife, Sue, son Kyle, daughter Andrea, and the entire Smith family during this difficult time. That's from Dean Spanos, owner and chairman of the board. So, another Hawk has left us, but man, another Hawk that leaves a legacy around professional sports, and he was truly one of the greats, A.J. Smith. Anyway, with that, we say good morning, Mick Colagio. How are you?
Old.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you and I did a lot of games together with them, and hockey-wise, and I think even a couple of basketball games when you and I did play-by-play and color together for, I don't know, I think a year. It might have been 2 years, at least 1 year where we get,
the 89-90 season. I do remember that one vividly.
Yes, so that was Tollgate High School beating Mount in the championship. I think that particular year. I think.
Hockey at Thayer in Warwick was 88-89 season.
Okay,
we met each other during that season. First time I ever saw you, you were standing in the back row of the bleachers at their arena in Warwick, calling a hockey game and like swaying, stepping one side 3 feet, this way 3 feet, this way 3 feet, this way 3 feet. I'm thinking, what is he doing? Oh, he's calling the game. Okay, that's Pete.
And I think that was I got lucky when the first games I called at their arena because it was right in the middle of the broadcast. Lo and behold, walking by is Lou Lamoriello. Yes, that one, because his grandson was playing for the Hawks at the time. And he came up and chatted with me for a few minutes during the game. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
He's an amazing hockey guy going all the way back.
Yes, way back. All right, my friend. Look, I hate it when NBA officiating carries over to the NHL. It really aggravates me. And we can talk all we want
That's a loaded
about
statement.
Yeah, well, talk about all we want about the Bruins should have done this or the Bruins should have done that, and I understand all of that. But knowing what the rule is, and I just read it, I'm not going to read it again. And I have the explanation right here, right from the NHL. It wasn't you that sent this to me, but somebody else that was covering the game last night.
I read it.
Video review supported the referee's call on the ice that the shove by Florida's Sam Bennett on Charlie Coyle and the subsequent contact with Jeremy Swayman did not prevent Swayman from playing his position in the crease prior to Bennett's goal.
Right.
Penalty, obviously, for unsuccessful. So, two things with Sam Bennett. One, it's a two-part question, and it's loaded. One, how come we didn't see Bennett Colcock Marchand in the ear? Clearly intentional. Only the reverse angle on TNT last night, the first time we've seen it. I don't know how in this day and age in playoffs, no matter what league, you can't find that angle until I got to find that out last night at about 6:30. 6 o'clock or 6:30, around there, whenever TNT came on the air. Nobody had seen it or heard about it. And then the same guy clearly cross-checks Charlie Coyle back that interferes with Swayman. Not only don't they get the call, they let the goal be allowed, and then the Bruins end up getting a penalty for it.
Yeah, and there were about 18,000 people booing. 18,000 referees were booing Bennett all night, and but they'd also be lined right up if his contract ended. So
absolutely, I grant you that. I grant everybody that. He's somebody that you want, but it doesn't take away from the fact. Let's start with what happened on Friday night when he called Cox Brad Marchand in the ear. Clearly intentional, and it wasn't one of those, I might get hit. Let me put my hands up, try to defend myself. I know that he tried that nonsense with Biz last night, yesterday, talking about, and Biz sort of led him into it. Was it just as you just trying to protect you? That was not protecting yourself. That was clearly intentional, in my view. I've slowed it down a million times. He starts here, bam! Ow. And
I didn't mean to do that.
And ends up because on the initial view, Mick, I'm sure you felt the same way. I was like, okay, that didn't seem all that.
In the moment, I actually thought that he chicken winged him with his left elbow and hit him in the soft part of the upper arm, upper back, right next to the arm where your shoulder pads end in hockey, and you have that exposed area. They only see it when a guy loses his shirt in a fight. So as it turns out, he came across, Bennett's a left-handed shot, so he came across with his right hand from the other side of his body, and with a right cross to meet Marchand. Now, let's just back up a second to your setup for the play. The two players are going to their benches. There's a regular playoff pushing and shoving on the way to the benches, and Marchand very aggressively is leaning in to get a hit on Bennett that's away from the hockey that's being played. I don't know where the hell the puck is in this moment, but I don't think it's anywhere near where they are. This is go to your bench, got your last kind of crap that happens in every playoff game, the whole game. So Marchand and about some, it's probably just about like 4:45, 4:50 into the game, and Marchand's getting his first chance to get a lick in on Bennett, who's back in after injury, had missed the series up until that point. So he's back in, and Marchand's thinking, I'm going to test him right away, and he leans right in. Now, let's back up to the Toronto series with Boston for just a second.
Okay.
Marchand is getting this treatment from Bertuzzi and Max Domi, and Marchand is attempting to greet them same as Bennett greeted Marchand. This is what goes on. So the question is, if you make a deliberate action and it has no ramifications, there was no result, there was no damaging contact, there was no injury, then it gets swept aside as, well, that's playoff hockey, and this happens in every series. The whole series, guys are hitting each other all the way to their benches, what they do. So in this case, Bennett is playing. He's less than 5 minutes into his first game after missing the first two games of the series. He's been injured. He's got Boston. He's got Brad Marchand coming for him as they go to the bench, and he goes for Marchand. And he connects and injures Marchand. When I ref tennis, we had a rule called, deliberate this or deliberate that. And deliberate means you meant to do what you did. It doesn't mean you meant for the result. But if there is a result, then because you deliberately meant to do what you did that wound up producing a result, whether you intended that result or not, then you have to be judged according to that result. So how Bennett escapes any judgment from the NHL when he clearly concussed Marchand with a punch to the jaw is really beyond me. He's not even getting the customary $5,000 fine, the maximum allowable under the collective bargaining agreement. I haven't even gotten that email. So,
but Mitch, let me ask
this
you,
is a little surprising to me that this has gone, that's nothing to see here.
Well, I'm hoping now that the other angle has been shown, and this is what I don't get in this day and age, Mick. If we had seen that angle on Friday night, he probably doesn't even play in that game yesterday. I would think that Bettman would have to suspend him immediately, or at least for the game. That's how egregious. You don't think so?
I don't think so. No.
But okay, but something would have been said, right? Something. He would have got fined. Something would have been said. Nobody saw that angle, which is I can't believe it in this day and age until last night on NHL on TNT. I mean, I was stunned. Where the hell was the other? Where's the angle?
Yeah, I know. I don't get it. I don't do television, so I don't know. No answer. No answer. I got nothing. I got nothing for you there. But I do know. And now go. Are we going back up to the Bennett goal on the coil push?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's get to that.
All right. Yeah. So everybody's isolated. Rule 69 says that irrespective of whatever literal context is around that rule might be written with a presupposition that the goalie is in position to play his position before that contact is made, when clearly Swayman is down, he's on the opposite side of his net, and he would need to recover miraculously in order to stop. So I think that the Bruins had contended, based on what I read in the situation and what was said afterwards, that Bennett interfered with Coyle. and that allowed him to score the goal. Okay, so did they miss an interference penalty on Bennett? Arguably, yes.
And a cross check or interference.
But they don't have the mecha. But there is no. You can't go back and decide that, well, we blew an interference call on that goal. That's not the reviewable part of that goal. The question is the challenge is based on goalie interference. And Rule 69 is written in a rather black and white way to say that if Coyle makes contact with Swayman and any goal is scored in the play, it shall be disallowed. Now, what they're doing there is trumping the rule with their ongoing application of the rule throughout the season, which is if it would have made a difference. And they're saying it wouldn't have made a difference. He was way over there. He was out of it, and it wasn't going to stop Bennett from scoring that goal. So what Bennett did to Coyle is immaterial because that's not part of the review process. That's my interpretation of what happened.
Yeah, and I totally respect it. I just don't understand how the people in Toronto can come up with it and blatantly say that he wasn't tumbled into, as somebody wrote about, tumbled into.
Well, here's the question to debunk all of that. If you're Charlie Coyle and there's a puck at your feet and your goalie's down and he's at the other post, and somebody cross-checks you from behind, in that moment, are you going to fall? You're a great 200-foot player who's really he's the glue of Boston's team defense from up front. He's easily the best defensive forward. Is he going to say, "Oh, I think I'm going to try to generate a penalty call here, knowing that Bennett's going to put this puck in the net"? That's not how Charlie Coyle has ever played the game. He's not going to start playing it now in a crucial situation such as that. If he feels like something's on his back, he's going to try to play that player. So clearly Bennett did hit him with enough force to tumble him over, because there's no way it was in Charlie Coyle's best interest to go down there. None. He would never have played for a call there. It's not how he plays. He never played that way. He won't start now. This is crazy. So yes, Bennett knocked Coyle down. So now you go. To me is that's a undeniable, undebatable fact. And then you go from there and saying, okay, then what do we have for a rules process here? And I think the NHL decided, look, Swayman's so far out of this that it didn't matter, and we didn't call a penalty for Bennett's push, which we considered inconsequential, it's just net front jostling is all they considered that. And you know what? When things have results, suddenly everybody's like, why isn't the standard there for this? Whereas if that was just two guys doing this in front of the net in any other situation, I'm sure that was done 75 times last night, more violently, but without ramifications. But in this case, because it was a puck at their feet and it gave Bennett a gaping net to put the puck in, suddenly it's like, well, he's very good at cheating. I mean, ask Patrice Bergeron once about face-offs, and because he was getting a lot of guff about, Paul Maurice complained about Bergeron getting unfair treatment in the face-off dot last year. And so I think it was him. I don't think it was. Yeah, it had to be him because it was the playoffs. So Bergeron once was quoted to say, "Hey, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying." These guys are competing, and it's the playoffs, and the team that gets the injuries, where it's the injury to Marchand or the insult on top of the injury of the goal by Bennett, whatever it is, if you're on the losing end, that's why Marchand's such a hated player, because he is this in 31 NHL cities. He is this guy who comes in, steals your lunch money, cuffs you in the back of the head, gives you a wedgie, and goes off laughing. He's that guy. So Bennett's coming in and doing that, and now the Bruins nation is sore. Yeah, but why are you losing? Not because of any of this. That's not why they're losing.
No, and we'll get more into that in a second here. But and it's certainly it's not why they're losing. But it feels like the game was taken. It feels like that game was taken away from them. Because
it was a winnable game thanks to Jeremy Swayman.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I try to put myself in the position. Okay, what if, just say Marchand was playing? What if Marchand had if the same situation happened in the Bruins' favor, and somebody, I don't know, Kachuk tumbles into Bobrovsky or whatever after a cross check by.
You would fully expect. I know what you're saying.
I know. I would have said. I would have said to myself, if
here it comes. Yeah.
If there was no call, I would have said, "Oh my God, how lucky we got away with that one." There's no way that should have been a penalty. At least objectively, I can say that now. I may not have said that 40 years ago, but at least now I'm more seasoned. I would say, Jesus, that we got away with that one. We got really lucky there. I just don't like the explanation that came out of Toronto. I think if you slow it down frame by frame by frame, I'd love to be sitting there with some of those jackasses up there and see what the hell goes through their head.
Full disclosure, I'm still pissed off at how the Kyle McLaren, Richard Zednik thing was handled in 2002. So I can dial back 22 years to a game 4 situation in Montreal where Kyle McLaren was indefinitely suspended, and then the suspension was canceled after the Bruins finished losing the series. And, the whole thing was just, it seemed to me like it just stunk. The whole thing stunk.
Yeah.
It was just, you got legislated out of the series because it's all game management. It's the illusion of control. The NHL wants a sense of control or belief that it's got control. And so many things are decided that way. And then you're told basically, hey, how many times does the victim of a situation get a finger wagged in their face? We don't want this series got to be under scrutiny. You watch him, mind your P's and Q's, and thinking, what did I do? So you know what? This is such a great case study and how you win. You win in the playoffs by hitting first, hitting best, hitting sneaky, being better at every aspect of the game, including the cheating part of it. This is how you win. And when you're on the wrong side of that and you're looking for justice from the stripes, you're never going to get it. It's never worked that way. It's never ever worked that way.
And I give Florida the full credit. I mean, obviously they've outplayed the Bruins for much of this series. Even though the shots on net last night seemed way off again, but I thought the Bruins had some really, really good.
Well, in the second period, you got 2 Charlie Coyle breakaways. You got a Jake DeBrusk breakaway. Did he beat Bobrovsky? I don't know. Let me back off of that. I'm going to retract that. He didn't beat him because he didn't score. The goalie made him make a play that he did not score on, so he didn't beat him. But what he did do is he did slip the backhand through the 5-hole along the ice very gingerly, and as Bobrovsky was sliding, and the puck went cleanly through as Bobrovsky was trying to close his feet together. And had he been a little quicker in doing so, he would have made contact with the inside of his right leg and the puck would have gone in. But instead he cleanly missed it and the puck slid just wide of the left post. So you couldn't come closer than DeBrusk did there. But for Sasha Barkov to come up in the third period and dart through the middle like the beast he is and score that goal that decides the game, that sends it off in the direction that it ultimately was going to take. Florida's 5-on-5 game is just too much for the Bruins. They don't,
can they recover from this at all? Because
game five. You never know. Game fives are often tough outs. Sometimes a team goes away. Sometimes a team it comes in and steals it and is desperate and gets some luck, get some calls, and suddenly the power play clicks or something happens. And the Bruins could send this back and it could go 3 overtimes and all that. But to me, the teleological end of this whole thing is that Florida was a President's Trophy winner 2 years ago, got rid of 8 players to make sure that they had the group that they wanted. They now have that group. It took them time to gel last season. They got it together in time to make the playoffs, survive the Bruins, who had an historic season, and then get more impressive in each playoff series thereafter until they were made to wait 10 days to play Vegas. So we got a crappy series instead of a good one. Now here they are again. They win the division. It was nip and tuck all the way. And now they're flexing their muscles and showing us why they are the team that's best set up to win the Stanley Cup of everybody this year before the season started and before the playoffs started. And right now, they're the team that's best set up to win this whole thing. They've been building toward this. This is what they are. They're a juggernaut. They got everything.
No question. I'm going to try and channel last year's team because I think we were saying this about the Bruins when we went up 3-1 on Florida. Blah, blah, blah. All this. I'm hoping stranger things have happened. Like I said, I can't, after what the Red Sox did in 2004, I will never count anybody out because it is still hockey. I still think hopefully
that's a good point.
If Marchand can come back tomorrow night, because I do think they need him, and that's a big if, I know. We shall see. Mick, before I let you go.
It'll be decided by need.
Yes. Let's talk about your cousin's team, Peter Laviolette and the Rangers. All right. They had a chance to sweep. Now it's probably going to be a gentleman's sweep tonight with the Rangers. And I have been extremely impressed with how they have handled Carolina overall, because both of us thought Carolina was New Jersey Devils 2.0 about a month ago, thinking that this team is just that they were favored in Vegas to win the Cup. They were favored. They were the favored.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that, but I respected it. And I do think that Carolina has been a very much under the radar, scary team. And I think the big thing for me was thinking that, even though Carolina has a great penalty kill, I felt all along that if this is a ticky-tack refereeing series and a lot of minor penalties, that the Rangers had a much better chance, because when put in positions and situations, Adam Fox, Chris Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, those guys are technicians. And I felt a lot better about Carolina if it was dominated by 5-on-5 hockey. So go figure, they're facing elimination. Game 4 is tied late in the game, and Ryan Lindgren gets a penalty. And they score, they win game, they survive and stave off elimination with a power play goal. So the series goes back to New York. If there's a parade to the penalty box of every little time a stick is near somebody's hands, it's that kind of series, then I like the Rangers. But if it ever turns around to 5-on-5, now let's just say you're saying anything can happen if the Bruins go down there and win tomorrow night. Well, what if tonight, I think there's a much better chance that Carolina wins a game 5 than the Bruins do. So let's just say Carolina gets this back to Raleigh. Now that place is going to be going nuts, and that team's going to be ran. If they get the calls or they don't get calls against them and it's a 5-on-5 series, this thing could get dramatic. It really could. I mean, the Rangers they're dormy, but this is no gimme yet. This is still a very tough out for them. And watch them win 7-0. But right now, my everything tells me that this is a tough series until it's over.
Mick, you're the man. Thanks so much for your expertise and insight and talking me off of the mini ledge. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Mick Bellagio, of course, a great writer, NHL writer, BostonHockeyNow.com, the hockey news. He's on a whole bunch of people's shows besides this one as well. Does an unbelievable job. Say hi to Chris Price. He's coming on with me next. I haven't talked to Chris in a long time.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
All righty, Mick. You're the best. We're going to take and we'll talk next week, okay? Or maybe the end of this week.
You're going to talk WHA?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Hartford Whalers. Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too. You make it because Christopher Price is going to join me in a minute, and he wrote a great book about the Hartford Whalers. And wait till you hear what I'm going to play for him as we introduce him. Quick break here on the Pete Sheppard Show live here from the Naples Wealth Planning Studio on the Riptide Media Network. Christopher Price coming up from the Boston Globe next. We're talking Patriots and NFL all here right after this quick break.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad. Your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. It's hour number 3 of the Pete Sheppard Show, live from the Naples Well Planning Studio on the Riptide Media Network. I wish I had some Kevin DeNeat highlights, Mike Leute highlights, even the Hows, Gordy, Mark, Marty, play together for a few minutes way back in the day. And coming up right now, my next guest is a man who wrote about some of those teams and also covers the NFL in a great way. It's from the Boston Globe. It's Christopher Price, my good friend who I haven't talked to in quite some time. We did NFL Sunday together back in the day on WEEI, pregame show along with Jerry Thornton and others, arguably to this day still the greatest pregame show in the history of the NFL. Christopher, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, partner. How you been?
Good. You like that? Did you get goosebumps?
Oh, I loved it. Every time I hear Brass Bonanza, man, it's funny. I'll have a quick Mark Howe story for you. Talking about Brass Bonanza, when I talked to him about the song for the book that I did, he said they bought it at the pro shop and he had it as a 45, and his sons would play sock hockey in the living room. And they'd be knocking it around, and every time someone would score, they'd flip it on the family stereo. And he said, look, all I know is I heard it a lot more at home than I did at the rink. So that should tell you about those early 1980s Whalers teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was the late, great Bob Newmeyer who picked that song out, correct?
Yes, he did.
He was doing play-by-play for the Whalers back then by himself on the radio, if I'm not mistaken, Chris. And then obviously came to Boston, became a well-renowned, anchor, not to mention his great horse handicapping back in the day. And one of the funnest people. Numi never had a bad day, ever.
Yep. That's a great way to put
Except
it.
when his contract didn't get renewed at EEI. Other than that, it was great.
No, Numi was a great guy. Loved him. Yeah. Loved him.
Great stuff. Yeah, what's the name of the book again before we get going here about the Hartford Whalers that you wrote a few years ago? And you worked a lot. I mean, you were working on that for years.
Yeah, well, I really was, Pete. And everyone should be so lucky to work on a project that's so close to their heart. Growing up in Connecticut, love the team. The book's called Bleeding Green: A History of the Hartford Whalers. It's been out for a couple of years, but yeah, I worked on it for I think it was 6 years. It was a blast. It was so much fun to do.
All right, before we get to some of the Patriot stuff, NFL news today, I'm sure you've seen the leaks are going to start coming fast and furious. So Mr. McCarthy issued a tweet earlier this morning saying, it sounded to me like everybody's opening game is going to be released. We know how this goes. It's 1 week later than usual. So the first two games that we officially know of, Ravens at the Chiefs Thursday night, September 5th, 115 days from now. And then Friday night from Brazil, you have the Packers and the Eagles. So I think we knew the Packers and Eagles were going to play in Brazil. I don't think we knew that was going to be the day after opening night. But any thoughts on any of that right there, right out of the gate?
I think it makes perfect sense to have the defending champions play in a high-profile game to kick off the season. I think that's, the league has been fairly consistent on that over the last decade plus. I'm intrigued about the idea of two teams playing in Brazil. They want to, obviously the NFL is exploring new markets, and they put the Patriots and the Colts went over to Germany last year. I wonder about the end game. I know there's a certain kind of the NFL wants to conquer the planet. So I'm just going to be curious as to see how all of that plays out. But when it comes to the opener, I think it makes perfect sense. Two high profile teams, the best way to kick off the season.
Now, before I ask you have you heard about any scheduling leaks regarding the Patriots? I've heard the big one is they're going to open up at Tennessee, which, okay, doesn't really matter. That's fine. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't, that's fine. But last week when Boomer Esiason went on WFAN and talked about Netflix and I said to Angel, our executive producer here and co-host, saying, look, Boomer doesn't throw shit against the wall and see if it does it. That's not his style. Yeah. I'm like, there's absolutely something to this. There was no doubt in my mind because he doesn't do that. You know him well enough. I know him well enough. He doesn't throw crap against the wall like that. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really intriguing for Netflix, who did not want to get involved with sports even as much as like a year ago. All of a sudden, they're doing Formula One packages. They're going to show the Tyson fight, and they're going to have both games of this doubleheader on Christmas Day and night on Netflix. And I got to believe, Chris, that it's going to be they're going to have 4 decent teams, at least 4 teams that last year finished over 500.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think at the very least, Pete, I think you're going to have to find 4 compelling teams. I don't know about decent teams, but you're going to have to find a reason to watch on Christmas Day. I saw somewhere too where if you're a football fan, you're going to need to have subscriptions to Amazon, Netflix, 3 or 4 different packages, and I just wonder how far you can push that. I know at least on the surface, the appetite for football is absolutely endless. But I kind of call back to the old quote from Mark Cuban a couple of years ago. Hogs get slaughtered. And so I just wonder how far you can continue to push the idea of subscription. The other thing too, Netflix has to learn from Amazon's early foray into the NFL in terms of broadcast production. We all know that the Amazon broadcast production, at least in the first year or so, was a little rough, at least when it came to the streaming product. There was some lags. I heard from a lot of football fans who were very, very upset about the way it was presented. So if I'm Netflix, I'm going to Amazon and I'm saying, look, okay, here were the 3 things that we screwed up on over the first, year of our production. How can we fix those and make sure those aren't a problem for us moving forward?
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. And I have YouTube TV now. I've had it now for 2 years down here. I didn't have any of those problems last year. And I guess I was lucky. I guess it also depends on certain Wi-Fi, but you're absolutely right. You're going to get millions and millions of people all of a sudden tuning in that never maybe some never went to Amazon before. I mean, I'm lucky. I have all these services anyway, so it doesn't bother me. But I understand. I think that somebody put the stat out over the weekend or Friday, Chris, that said if you get including the NFL package and your basic cable packages and what you have, something like $756 a year to watch every single game in the NFL. Now I'm lucky on YouTube TV because I already paid for the upcoming. It's only going to cost me only $260. For those of you who don't have it already, it's going to cost you $360. And if you wait to right before, I think it's close to $400.
Yeah, it's tough. And look, I'll say this as a New England guy, we had YouTube TV last year. I think it was 2023, either 2022 or 2023. And we had to get rid of it because they didn't have an agreement with Nesson. And so we couldn't watch Red Sox or Bruins games.
Yep.
And in this household, that's a non-starter. And so we ended up going back to Xfinity. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge financially and otherwise for a lot of people. And I'm going to be interested to see how football fans respond and how the leagues respond and how the broadcast carriers respond.
And Christopher Price from the Boston Globe joining me, covers the NFL, Patriots, and also loves hockey. The one thing I do not miss my days at WEI is when we would spend hours upon hours talking about titles about the Patriots. Nothing bored me more because I don't care. I don't care that the people will get their panties in a bunch, Felger and others, about titles. And I don't care what title Elliott Wolf has. Sounds like he's going to be the main man in charge for me, whether there's a GM next to his name. It's not just Felger. It's a lot of people up there. The panties that get, it's like guys whose thongs went awry. Ugh. And they just got to complain and bitch and moan and complain. Who cares if there's a GM besides Elliott Wolf's name or not? Now, whether he's the right guy for the job, only time will tell. But I do not miss getting caught up in that minutia because we would spend hours on this stuff. I'd be like, can't we talk about something else other than GMs next to Bill Belichick's name? Or OCs or DCs, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah. All of that stuff is kind of yesterday's news, basically. And I think what we're looking at here with Elliott Wolf is going to be the guy in Foxborough for the next 3 to 40 years. We can debate whether or not it was the right idea, but what the overall power structure is going to look like. But he's going to be the man in charge in Foxborough. He's going to be in charge of this rebuild, and I think we've seen some really interesting things already, Pete. They've torn down the old scouting structure that they've had in place for 20 plus years, and they are using really a lot of the old Packers stuff that his father put out, Ted Thompson, Mike Sherman, all of that kind of that older Packers stuff. And it's more about height, weight, kind of checking all of those, measurables. And it's fascinating to see how they're going to go about trying to rebuild this whole thing all over again. I like Elliott so far. He's been great with us. He's been very straightforward. I asked him at the Combine. I said, who's making the call at number 3? This was before he got the official title. And he said, it's going to be me. He's taken ownership, no pun intended, of this job. And, good or bad, it's on his shoulders moving forward.
Which leads me to, again, only time will tell. I like a lot of the players. I love college football. So we'll get to the rookie mini camps in a second. And a guy that I find, the guy to me that intrigues me most in minicamp by far is Joe Milton III, because I know what that guy can do. Yeah. I've seen it a million times and he didn't get hurt. That guy has some people who don't follow college football, not you and others who are new to it, don't understand how freaking awesome this kid, his arm is. He's not as accurate as Drake May, we know that, but my God, you watch that kid throw a football, it will blow you away.
Yeah, he really will, too. The nickname that he's gotten up here, and I don't know if this is initially a Tennessee thing, but some writers up here, I think Mike Giardi had it first, called him Bazooka Joe.
Bazooka Joe, yeah.
With the arm. I don't think anyone who's never seen him before, I don't think people are prepared for how strong his arm is. There's a great video of him at the Combine out there, you kind of referenced, of him throwing a ball 80 yards and just kind of flicking it. And he's got tremendous arm strength. Pete, the big thing for me is the short and intermediate stuff. And watching him at rookie minicamp, he kind of reminded me, and this is not a shot, but he kind of reminded me a little bit of Ryan Mallett when he was there. Big arm, struggles with touch, struggles with, the quick outs, that kind of thing. I think Joe Milton is going to get the Foxborough flu this year and get put on injured reserve and get some work as a developmental guy. And it's going to be like, look, just go work with the offensive coordinator, work with the quarterback coach, develop that aspect of your game, come back in 2025, ready to compete for a backup or maybe even a starting job, who knows? But yeah, I'm with you. For me, he is the most intriguing member of this draft class. We know Drake May, we know Jalen Polk, we know Javon Baker, all of those guys, all those big names. But Joe Milton III is the most intriguing guy out of that entire group.
No relation to Thurston Howell III of Newport, Rhode Island. But what's going to be fascinating, though, because you watch in preseason, he's going to, we're going to see a lot of Drake May, right? We're going to see a lot of Joe Milton III. That's going to be, for once, a fun preseason. I don't, it's to watch all of these rookies, and especially two quarterbacks who I think should get a significant amount of playing time. And watch the quarterback. You want to bet there's a quarterback controversy after the second preseason game between Drake May and Joe Milton. I know how it is up there. This is like when people used to want Michael Bishop in over Bledsoe.
I was going to say, you can remember the debates. You can remember the calls. People saying, well, why don't we start Michael Bishop? What's wrong with Michael Bishop? And even we saw it a little bit last year, Pete, with Malik Cunningham. And that was part of the conversation. I think you're going to have a discussion, but look, if he can do other things, if he's open, and he said when right after he was drafted, he talked about, do you see yourself as just a quarterback? Can you do some? He said, look, I'm just coming in to play quarterback. But if he's open to maybe thinking outside the box a little bit, maybe he makes that 53-man roster and maybe they use him as a gadget guy in 2024, goal line situations, whatever the case may be. A lot of it too, and this, that it's going to depend on how the roster breaks down. Like if they need an extra wide receiver or if they need an extra offensive lineman, that's going to mean one less guy at another position. And that could ultimately impact his chances of making this roster in 2024. But again, like I said, I think he is a candidate to have the Foxborough flu, miss the season, go on IR, and I'm putting my quote fingers here when I say that, and just kind of work on his game and become more of a complete quarterback.
Yeah, because Jacoby Brissett, I'm hoping Drake May beats him out. I really do. I'm one of those guys, and I said it when they drafted Bledsoe. Throw him to the wolves. Let's just see what he's got. But the other and this might be the receiving core that Drew had his rookie year. I think this receiving core, I can't believe I'm saying this, could potentially be a hell of a lot better. I don't believe in post-draft grades because I think it's horse crap because you can't judge a draft at least 2 or 3 years later. All I can know is by what I have seen from some of these guys, and I have seen Jalen Polk, and I have seen what Javon Baker can do. And at least on a college level, I am thoroughly impressed. I think Baker had a couple drops I was reading about last week, but those two guys, I think, can make the team and have a serious impact because I have total respect for what they accomplished in college because I've seen them a lot. And at least I know what they can do. And, Bell, the tight end out of Florida State, he may not be the biggest name on the board, but that's another guy for a 7th-round pick. I thought he was kind of a steal for a 7th-rounder. And, maybe he doesn't even make the team. But having watched a lot of those guys play, when I see Layden Robinson, the off guard from Texas A&M, I was at the Miami Hurricane game when they beat him last year and all that stuff. I don't focus. You don't focus on that stuff.
Yeah.
The key, the position players, the high profile players like Drake May and Jalen Polk and Joe Milton III and Javon Baker. Those are the guys that I remember in my feeble little head. And I think those two wide receivers can make a serious impact on this team this year.
I agree with you, Pete. And I think that the biggest question for me, obviously, look, if Drake's the guy, if Drake May is the guy, then this team is going to be better than it was in 2023. But the biggest question for me is the offensive line. Great offensive line makes a bad quarterback good quarterback great. And I think if they can figure out the offensive line, that's worth, in my mind, 2 or 3 wins right there.
Sure.
And, you look back on this team that lost a handful of games by 7 points or less. The 4-13 record was lousy, but at the same time, they were in a lot of those games. You could
Yes,
throw
they
out the
were.
Saints game, you could throw out the Cowboys game, and I'm not making excuses for them, but if they can figure things out on the offensive line and give May or Brissett or whoever it is back there time to operate, they have guys on offense who can make plays. You mentioned Polk, you mentioned Baker, Hunter Henry's coming back, Kendrick Bourne's coming back.
Yep.
They have a really good running game, Ramondre Stevenson.
Yep.
They have guys who can play, and it's just a matter of figuring out a way to give presumably the young quarterback enough time to operate back there. He reminds me a little bit. I wanted to tell you about this too. He reminds me a little bit, just a little bit, of Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
He's got a little Phillip Rivers in him, little goofy in a good way, big arm, a real leader, real vocal out there. I do it. I'm not so sure I'm with you on the idea of throwing him to the Wolves early. I think that Brissett would be a good guy to, kind of step in because, we talked about the offensive line. I think he's going to get his ass kicked maybe the first couple of weeks. I don't think that's going to do great things for his confidence. But if there is a runway for May, I want to see it sometime after October. If there's 2 or 3 winnable games, build his confidence and kind of go from there. But I think really, ultimately to answer your question, go back to the original question, I think it's the offensive line. And if they can figure out the offensive line, they're going to be much better than they were last year.
Well, no question. However, how much of the offensive line got blamed because of Mac Jones, who I really thought was going to develop into something, especially after his rookie year, and especially when Billy O'Brien came back? I expected maybe not great things, but I thought there would be significant improvement. I can't tell you. I go back and watch games all the time, and especially, after a game on Sunday night, I'll go back and fast forward through, and I count 1, 2, 3. How many times did he have 4+ seconds or more and not get rid of the ball? And so I think the offensive line gets blamed for the ineptness that was Mac Jones. I don't think the offensive line was that horrible last year. I think he made it look horrible.
It was a domino effect in a lot of ways. Yeah. I think that the offensive line struggled, and I think that impacted Mac's confidence, his ability to get the ball out as quickly as possible. There were a lot of things at play, and I'm not putting it all on the offensive line, and it was a struggle, and it got worse and worse and worse. And one thing kind of fed into the other. And I think that's where you talk about the struggles of Mac. I think a lot of ways it kind of stemmed from the offensive line. And then the other thing too, look, man, it's life in the big city. You're going to, the quarterback gets too much of the credit, too much of the blame. And I think that's it's not fair, but that's why they get the big contracts. That's why they need the supermodels. That's why everyone wants to know about them. So it comes down to the quarterback. I think they're going to be in better shape now with this quarterback, with this group of quarterbacks than what they had before. The other name too, we're talking about the quarterback situation. Let's not forget Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to take significant snaps for this team, but I think he's going to be part of the conversation. I think ultimately he is the kind of guy who, if he has a good summer, maybe they spin him out of here for a 5th round pick. But he's going to be part of this discussion in the spring and the summer, and it's going to be really intriguing to watch it all play out.
I just hope they don't have my good friend Gerard Mayo. You've seen a picture with me, the Mayo Bowl, where I won, by the way. I was the media winner one year.
Very nice.
165. I think I beat out John Meter-Perel by a couple of pins. But Gerard Mayo, what are your impressions of him so far? We knew, and I remember doing when I was at EI, and I mean, Michael Holley, remember back in the day, nailed it. He said the Patriots were going to draft him, I think with the number 10 pick at the time. I think he was a number 10 pick, and went on and on about him, and I had seen him play. I knew he was going to be a great player. And I know he's a quote-unquote gym rat, a term we apply usually in basketball, but he is a football gym rat. He eats, sleeps, and breathes football. What are your impressions of Gerard Mayo so far? It's tough. It's a tough question to ask, but
it's early.
Does he have a makeup to be an NFL coach?
I think it's early. I'll say this, Pete. He is a compelling figure. He is a guy who people want to play for, and I think he was able to kind of tap into some of that with some of their free agent signings. I think he's still an unfinished product on the offensive side of the ball, and I think he's going to lean very, very heavily on guys like Alex Van Pelt and Ben McAdoo. We talked about Ben McAdoo before the second rookie minicamp practice, saying that McAdoo is essentially going to be, kind of an assistant head coach for him. kind of in his ear, helping him with the things that you don't know if you haven't been a head coach, like clock management, timeouts, just logistical stuff that you take for granted when you're a head coach. You've been a head coach for a couple of years that you just might not know or be aware of. But yeah, he's going to need help on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, this team is rock solid. They stay healthy. This has the potential to be a very good defense. But and part of that is just the carryover from guys like Mayo being there for a number of years and Covington. I think they're going to be really good defensively. The questions I have about this team, and it extends to Mayo, are on the offensive side of the ball.
No, I'm with you. Getting Drew Down and Gonzalez back, and I think people forget how good the defensive was, even without those two guys last year. Really, with the exception of a couple of games, they really kept them into it. Again, speaking with Christopher Price from the Boston Globe, writes about the Patriots and the NFL in general. The other thing I wanted to ask you is just speculate. I look at the Chicago Bears, and you talk about Caleb Williams being thrown into they have to do it. I mean, there's no way that Brett Rippon or Tyson Badgett are going to play. But you look at that. I mean, I'm thinking like if Drake May were in this situation, would you start with what they have done, drafting Adunza from Washington? They got DJ Moore, they got Keenan Allen, they got Cole Kmet, they got a pretty good running game in DeAndre Swift and Caleb. I mean, the Bears are going to be expected to compete for at least a division this year, maybe more. But I'm trying to think of a rookie quarterback that has been under more pressure to win with the type of offensive talent that I think the Bears have. That team fascinates me about what's going to happen with him.
I agree with you. And Pete, I'll say this right now, and if this doesn't happen, we can burn the tape. But he is the closest thing to Patrick Mahomes in this draft, Caleb Williams. Wow. Caleb Williams can consider in a really good draft for quarterbacks. Caleb Williams makes the throws on a consistent basis that no other quarterback in this draft is capable of making. I think he is going to be the first ever passer in Bears history to throw for 4,000 yards. And if he stays healthy, he's going to have a Hall of Fame career because, as you mentioned before, they got him a number of guys. Adunze, Keenan Allen. This is a team. This is a guy who is set up for success. Clearly set up for success moving forward. The Bears had a plan that dates back more than a year.
Sid Luckman.
Yeah. Jim Miller, our old friend Jim Miller. He was the last Chicago quarterback.
Kyle Orton,
exactly.
Should have lost his job.
but yeah, I mean they did what they could do to set a young quarterback up for success. I think the Patriots did some of the same stuff, but they weren't in a position like the Bears were to be able to execute it in quite the same fashion. But yeah, I love Caleb Williams. I think he's the next great young quarterback in the National Football League.
Hey, Chris, my executive producer / co-host, and he hosts his own show as well. Angel Martinez, I know you have a question. He's a big Eagles guy. We have a lot of Philadelphia Eagle people listening. They're going to play in Brazil against the Packers. But Angel, go ahead. What do you have a question for Chris?
Yeah, that I am. Chris, thanks for coming on. We do appreciate it. And I want to go back for a second to the Patriots because in your opinion, was Gerald Mayo being looked at, let's say, as early as maybe 2 seasons ago to become the head coach?
Yeah, in New England, he was the guy who was tapped relatively early to become the head coach. And he took some interviews before they kind of put that succession plan in place. This is a guy who it just feels like this is the next logical step in the process for him. Pete can tell you, having talked to him, having covered him for a number of years, this was a very impressive guy from the jump. When he was a rookie, you could tell there was an aura about him that said that he was eventually going to be a head coach, a GM, whatever. He was going to ascend to a position of leadership. Pete can tell you too that the locker room in New England is set up where the guy in the corner right near the player's entrance, it's a highly respected spot because it was Willie McGinnis, it was Dante Hightower, it's been Gerard Mayo, now Juwan Bentley has it. Whoever is in that locker is held to maybe a higher standard and holds his teammates to a higher standard. And Mayo was the guy. He was an easy choice. Look, he was a captain in his second year. And so the leadership capabilities have always been there with him. It's just going to be fascinating to see him take it to the next level and become a head coach. He talked a little bit about that. It's a really good question, Angela. He talked a little bit about that before the latest rookie minicamp practice, where it's like all of a sudden everyone was looking at him, and he is the guy. He's the guy who has to provide all the answers all of a sudden. So I think it's going to be a process. I think there's going to be a learning curve involved. But yeah, he's been the guy in New England for a long time.
Chris, a couple more things, and thanks for taking a moment today. So I'm also Patriots and Philadelphia Eagles. Speaking of that, joint practices coming up this year as well.
Yeah, that's going to be in Foxborough this summer. I think it's a great idea. One of the other things too was last year when the Patriots and the Packers had joint practices in Green Bay, it kind of devolved into a lot of pushing and shoving and fighting. And I think if both franchises had to do it all over again, they might limit it to just one. And I think that's the plan here. They're going to have one, and then they're going to have a game. So yeah, I mean, this, it's joint practice is the way of the future. And I think that given the relationship between the two teams, I think it makes an awful lot of sense. I'm just happy that I won't have to spend a week in Tennessee or whatever on the road for those joint practices. We can have them back here in Foxborough.
And then you look at the Eagles and what they went through at the end of last year, what they didn't do, and talk about an absolute collapse. And one of the lock of the centuries was them losing that playoff game to Tampa Bay. I thought was an easy call the way they were playing. But look, that being said, I still think the Eagles are going to win the division this year. I think Dallas takes a step back. I don't know what Washington is going to be, but the pressure on Nick Sirianni, they better get off to a good start. Otherwise, things could get really interesting if the attitude of the team last year carries over into this year, which just shocked me. It looked like the Richard Todd Jets back in the day. They were 10-1 and lost the last 5 games of the season, and then bounced in the playoffs. I think to Buffalo in the first round. But
love the Richard Todd reference, my friend. Yeah. It is. It's going to be a challenge. I think also too, and I want to get your take on this, because we saw from the Seth Wickersham piece that Bill was, people in Philadelphia, people were saying, even though Nick has had some success in the last year, maybe we think about bringing Bill Belichick in to kind of help us get over the top. That, and also, this is my hot take, that I think Bill Belichick's going to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys starting in 2025. And by the start of the 2025 season, he's going to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I would not be shocked at that at all. And I'm just wondering that, to me, I said this before the draft. Angel will back me up. The quarterback who I thought whoever got was going to be the steal of the draft, my favorite quarterback in the draft was Michael Penix Jr. I loved him. I think wherever he goes, and I said wherever he goes, it's going to be great. Now, did I expect him to go to Atlanta? Nobody did at number 8. And, unless Kirk Cousins gets hurt, we're probably going to be a couple of years, 3 years before we see him significantly outside of the preseason. But maybe because Bill, depending on who you want to believe, was not going to have total autonomy there in Atlanta. And what if he found out early that this guy was high on their quote unquote their draft board? Do you think Bill Belichick would have been, if he went to Atlanta, would he have picked Michael Penix Jr.? No freaking way. No way. Not with the defensive liabilities. That team sucked as bad last year on defense as the Patriots did on offense. Equally suckage around. Ranked 31, 30, 29, 30, 31. So it always fascinated me about Bill not going there. Probably a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I think part of it is, Rich McKay has his fingerprints all over the organization, and I don't think that would have sat well with Bill. One quick thing on Penix.
Yeah.
I talked to a bunch of people before the draft because I thought there was a possibility that the Patriots might trade back and end up taking him.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Penix, the way that people talked about him, Jalen Polk and others who played with him, the coaches, he didn't have teammates. He had apostles.
Yeah.
People believed in him so much. And they get this look on their faces like, you don't know. You haven't been in the huddle with him. You haven't been on the sidelines with him. This guy's special. He's different. And I don't like leaning into intangibles that much. But when it keeps coming up, you can't not talk about it. So I'm going to be really interested to see how that translates to the NFL level. Because as you know, sometimes that doesn't, that can't work. That doesn't necessarily work when you're a rookie in the NFL, having that level of faith in a young quarterback. So look, I'm with you on Penix. I think he's a special player. I just think he's maybe in a not so great situation when it comes to complementary football across the board.
Totally agree. All right, real quick. So coming up next, what we got coming up next? Besides the scheduled release date Wednesday, which I'm thinking a lot of it will be released before then or leaked.
Yes.
What's next? OTAs, minicamp. What's the schedule like?
You got OTAs and minicamp to kind of finish out the month, and then you have mandatory camp at the start of June, and then everyone is kind of cut loose for a month or so before the start of training camp in July. So we got about another month or so. What'd you say at the top? About 100 or so days before the start.
115 days. 115 days. Less for college football. 115 days.
Getting closer, my friend. But yeah, we got a few things between now and then. But it's approaching. It's good stuff.
Unbelievable. And then how about the BU softball team making the field of 64? Good for them. I don't know if you saw that. Hey, thanks so much, Chris. Let's do this again, sooner rather than later. Love having you on. Love catching up. It's been fantastic. Anything else you want to plug? What else any other books you're writing? If I'm available, if you want to write a novel about me, we can do that. I'm always available.
You know what we got to do, man? You and I, we should collaborate on a book about our time together at WEEI. How about that?
Yeah, and next time you're on, I'm going to have Jerry Thorne on as well. We'll just do a flashback to 2016.
I love it.
All right, my friend, take care.
Good
All
to
the best
see
to you.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
And stop running marathons. You're making the rest of us look bad. Take care, Chris. We'll talk to you soon.
Good to see you, bud.
Yeah, Chris is one of those marathon. He makes the rest of us in the media look bad. He's running the damn marathon and doing well and doesn't even look tired. It looks like he's breaking a sweat and just, I hate those people. I don't know how you do it. I ran 1 year across country, and it was a lot in high school in my sophomore year, and I barely made it through that. I don't know. Did I make it? I may not have. I know I hurt my ankle. I can't even remember. But running 10, 11 miles a day back then was just nuts. And but we were a good team. Can't stay. State and New England champions. Can't really. The work was unbelievable. People are like, why do you guys always win? Because we run 10 miles a day, 11 miles a day, 12 miles a day. You people run 3 that's why. Used to get that all the time. I was like, recruit. No, we train harder. I mean, running 12 miles a day was nothing. So a 2.5 mile race, so 2.3 miles across country for us was like, piece of cake. No, I was no superstar or anything like that. I was just hoping to finish and not throw up. But we had some we had some guys that were just phenomenal at it. Anywho, thanks to Christopher Price. All right, Angel, another quick break, and then we'll have some more fun and frivolity when we come back. It is the Pete Sheppard Show live here from the Naples Wealth Planning Studio right here on the Riptide Media Network.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
I know hear nothing.
Well, the spot kept playing. I didn't know if we were 30 seconds. I don't know if we were 30 seconds off or what. Oh, you can hear that.
Spot's over. Here comes down.
Yeah. Well, something just started playing again. That's all right. It's all good. It's our last segment. Big Sheppard Show. Live from Naples Oak Planning Studio, Riptide Media Network. Phone number to text 727-858-6650. Watch the show all over the place on Twitter X at PShep326. My Facebook and Broad Street South Facebook and YouTube pages, Spotify, Twitch, Rumble, LinkedIn, and on Sports Radio 102.9. Great conversation with Christopher Price early today from the Boston Globe. So a couple of things have happened in the NFL. For those who are just joining us, a couple of things. September 5th, we found out the opener is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Baltimore Ravens in a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. That will be on Thursday night, September 5th. And then coming up the very following night on Friday, Angel Martinez's Philadelphia Eagles will battle the Green Bay Packers in Brazil. In Brazil for that game on a Friday. Should be really interesting. Some other stuff making headlines right now. USC's Bronny James, the LeBron's son, has been medically cleared to be drafted by the NBA's Fitness to Play panel. That's according to ESPN. The NBA plans to inform teams today that the panel's 3 physicians evaluated and approved James, allowing him to fully participate in this week's pre-draft combine. You know about the cardiac condition he had last year. He averaged only under 5 points and under 3 rebounds a game, 2.1 assists, and averages 19.4 minutes. And he's declared for the June draft while maintaining his college eligibility. He has until May 29th, that's in 16 days, to decide whether to stay in the draft or return to college. He has decided to explore the transfer portal if he chooses to play a second year of college basketball. So we'll see.
What deal is Dad going to make? A better deal for the NBA? Atlanta Hawks, you're welcome. And or will he give him a huge NIL deal to tell him, listen, you're just not ready yet, but we're going to make millions before you hit the NBA?
Yeah, well, I think he is. I do not think he is ready yet. I don't think he's ready by the longest of shots. But It's all going to be a question of maybe LeBron just wants to play with them. But see, if he plays with them just a little bit, and even summer camp can't do that because then he loses college eligibility.
Yippers.
So I don't know. I cannot see LeBron turning down $51 million just to go play with his son, at some team outside of Los Angeles. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially where LeBron is about to pick the coach in J.J. Redick. I firmly believe that. So he's going to have his guy, and I don't know if they can, open up a spot for Bronny. I just don't think he's even nowhere near ready to play. I think it's inevitable that he will, at least in summer camp. But then Bronny, he's not going to be able. He's going to lose college eligibility, and who's going to pick him up? They're not going to pick him up as a favor for LeBron just to see what, quote unquote, what he can do. Or if he does, he's not going to make it out of summer camp. I don't believe that, but I guess crazy things have happened. Another thing in college basketball, great. Oh, what a name to be named Great. Your first name is Great. Utah State transfer from the Aggies. Great Osibor is the top available player in the NCAA transfer portal. He is leaving the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. He's got a brand new nil deal for the Washington Huskies. Going to make $2 million this season. $2 million. According to a document reviewed by ESPN, his nil agreements, which include marketing assurances, were negotiated by agent George Langberg of GSL Sports. Osborne said, "I'd like to thank God for putting me in this position." What about me? What about my position? Where's my nil deal?
Exactly.
I have that.
I'm the GOD. Where's my deal? Come on. Y'all wear my shirts.
I love the baby Jesus, but geez, Washington will allow me to maximize my potential as a player. And in my final year of college basketball, Coach Danny Sprinkle has been with me every step of the way since I came from England, and I cannot wait to help the Huskies get back to the NCAA tournament. He also had opportunities to go to Louisville and Texas Tech.
Can you imagine that debate? By the way, Rick's got two good ones here, but could you imagine that debate where God says, hold on for a second. Your name is Great. I'm Jesus. Let's think about that one. Who drops better dimes than this man?
What if his middle name was Jesus? Can I imagine him Great Jesus? Imagine that.
That would be something. That really would be something.
Yeah, Rick says Eagles were not to wear green. Yeah, since Corinthians Soccer Club's biggest rival, Palmeiras, wears green. There's an informal ban on the color green at the stadium. Yeah, Angel actually brought that up at the top of the show. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The only time in my day when I liked the Cowboys back in the day after the Patriots, and when Roger Staubach was there and all those guys, and Tony Dorsett and Drew Pearson and Tony Hill, Too Tall Jones, Waters. I mean, all those guys. The only thing that sucked is when they had to wear those stupid darker blue jerseys, which they never won in. And even in 1980, the Eagles made them wear it. Eagles wore white at home on purpose so Dallas would have to mess with their heads and wear those stupid blue jerseys. The Eagles kicked their butt in that game and then went on to lose a Super Bowl. But nevertheless, Dallas was like, what were they? They were like, they didn't wear them often because they always wore white home and away for 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But they were 95% of the time. But they were like 1-11 or something, like some crazy number with those stupid blue jerseys. I hated it back then when they were playing, but that was something. Couple other interesting stories that are out there that have nothing to do with sports, like this one. There's a woman who claims she has not eaten or drank water in 16 years and says it's the work of
Jesus.
Close. Well, God. Yes. Both. I guess they're interchangeable, are they not? A woman who hasn't eaten or even had a glass of water since she was 10 years old has been tested by numerous medics in her home country and abroad. None of them can explain her condition. Mulyawork Umba from Ethiopia says she hasn't eaten or drank anything in 16 years. She suddenly stopped needing to eat or drink when she was a 10-year-old girl and clearly remembers the last thing she ate, a red lentil stew. Very healthy, by the way. Very healthy, lentils are. Adventurer Drew Binsky, this is from the Daily Star, very reputable paper, traveled to Ethiopia to meet with Mulyawork and asked her one simple question. Is it true? He finally found her village and noticed straight away that her house is far larger and more secure than all the other neighbors situated in a high-wall compound. I do not believe she has not eaten or drank something.
Me either.
No, I do not believe that. Let me see. What else do we have
Because
here?
your body can go without food for 3 weeks, but it cannot go without water.
Did you hear what happened on a flight to Dublin from Heathrow? Did you hear about this? A couple have been filmed allegedly performing a sexual act on a BA flight to Dublin in full view of disgusted passengers. The shocking footage taking on an early morning flight last Tuesday from London's Heathrow to Dublin appears to show a woman touching a man under a scarf. Horrified passengers who witnessed the lewd behavior had claimed the couple were constantly at it as the aeroplane soared through the Irish Sea. 26-year-old was on a flight with her mom, Farah, and brother, and she filmed the couple. She said, I was turning to look at my brother every time I was speaking, and then I saw a lot of sort of vigorous movement in the other seats on the other side.
I'm calling shenanigans on that one. You were constantly looking at your brother?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, because she was in the middle, and she's looking at her brother this way, and the people are over there, going at it under the blanket. All that stuff. There's another. The other thing I meant to ask Mick earlier, because Mick used to also be a professional tennis referee, and I'm talking about the U.S. Open. He was a line judge and all that stuff. And Mick's a great tennis player in his own right. But it was there was a problem at the Italian Open yesterday or over the weekend, where Novak Djokovic, he had a pretty bad head injury by accident. He lost on Sunday, but what happened on Saturday was something freak out. After Friday night's straight set victory over Corentin Moutet, Djokovic was signing autographs, right, Angel? Someone above dropped by accident. It was confirmed it was an accident. Someone in the stands dropped a metal bottle on his head from up above. He fell to the ground, grabbed his head, staying there for a significant amount of time before getting accompanied to the locker room. He later tried to reassure fans he was doing fine while resting in his hotel with an ice pack. And then on Saturday morning, he made light of the situation, showed up to training with a cycling helmet on, but clearly was not himself. But that was pretty dangerous. One of the greatest tennis players of all time.
Well, there was an incident, wasn't it just yesterday? Also with the Cleveland Indians, that they got somebody threw a bottle from the stands and ended up hitting. Granted, he still had his batting helmet on, but it hit one of the players as they were coming to the dugout.
Really?
Yep.
You know what? Let me see if I have sound for. I didn't see that.
I'm almost certain with the, but I'm not calling you guys who just tuned into the show or just listening to us. I don't call them the Guardians; they're the Indians, just like the Washington Redskins are the Washington Redskins.
No, I just have a couple of home runs. Andres Jimenez and David Fry. I do not have any other sound from that.
I'd have to find it. We'll have it for tomorrow's show.
That's something. Now, how about this? In Manchester, New Hampshire, an 18-year-old man is facing several charges after Manchester police said he tipped over a portable toilet in Derryfield Park, trapping a woman and her 4-year-old child inside. Now, luckily, Manchester police said the woman and her daughter were not physically hurt, but they're traumatized by the event. Police said the incident happened last Wednesday. Witnesses in the park told police they saw the suspect, Aidan Studer of Manchester, and the woman arguing beforehand, but police say they didn't know each other personally. Investigators said the woman then went inside the toilet to help her daughter, and Studer pushed it over from behind. It landed with its door on the pavement. Police said some bystanders in the park quickly ran over to the portable toilet to stand it up. They said the woman and child were all covered with feces and bodily fluids. The police said, quote, "It's disgusting." No kidding. Obviously, the thought of what occurred inside there and traumatizing because she had a young child with her. So it's definitely something that caught our attention. And this person was arrested and charged once they were identified. He's faced with 2 counts of criminal restraint, criminal mischief as a result, as well as simple assault for allegedly throwing a shoe at a police officer. But he's been released. He's been released on cash bail. Of course he has.
I don't understand.
I'd stick him back in the porta potty and somebody else knock it over.
Yep. Because I don't get it. What is it with people and this whole fascination watching someone going in a porta potty and then knock it over? Knowing that's the most disgusting thing, because you imagine that child swallowing any of those fluids that came out of there, yet alone the person that was holding her. I mean, I don't, for the life of me, folks, if you guys are tipsters, I understand the tipping cow thing out there in the country in the Midwest, but this is some completely freaking that's just disgusting. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. And then before we close out the show, sort of football news. Rob Gronkowski allegedly injured a girl. Remember he spiked that shot? And the
oh, yeah.
Apparently, in the middle of the road, Gronk spiked his shot glass after taking a shot with former teammates Julian Edelman and Tom Brady. According to comedian Andrew Schultz, Gronk's impromptu spike injured someone in the crowd during a recent podcast appearance. Schultz said he could see a piece of shot glass hanging from the fan's cheek following Gronk's spike.
Good Lord.
He takes it and he has so much energy, he doesn't know what to do. He slams it. All of us are like, what the F just happened? A girl in the front row had a piece of shot glass hanging out of her cheek. And I'm not talking about a little thing. Her whole cheek is red. She looks like a mime. So the Daily Mail reached out to Gronk and Netflix reps regarding Schultz's claims, and they never yet to respond. It'll be interesting to see if the person in the crowd sues Gronk and Netflix over the mishap. Well, we'll see. We will see about that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Well, Angel, that is that's just about doing it. Now, you and Defo have the day off today, correct?
Yes. I have to meet with the press.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yes, with the press and with progress, unlike Congress.
Well, thanks so much today for everything that you do behind the scenes and up front as well on the air. Great stuff. Want to thank Mick Colagio as well and Christopher Price as well from the Globe. Mick Colagio from the Hockey News and RickRapMC.com as well. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. with another fantastic show lined up for you today. Hopefully my Celtics will be up 3-1. They won't have to sit here and, they just don't get talked about the same way when they lose, like when Denver loses or Minnesota loses or what. I understand. They're expected to win the game by 15 points tonight. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Preview and recap everything in the NBA and the NHL. More schedule leaks expected to come out before the end of today. And I'm sure when we get on tomorrow, we may even be able to piece together somebody's team. I'm sure. All of that, baseball, a whole lot more. Thanks to Angel Martinez, Mick Colagio, and Chris Price. I am Pete. I am out of here. Have a great and safe rest of your Monday, everybody. I'm back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Bye-bye.